First course, Caesar, fries, followed by second course only, filet, fifth rare, olive.
I'm living the best life, man. I'm just nice and high, post shift. I'm good, man. Having a great time. Man, it was cool. It was kind of chill in the morning, and then like all the stoners got off work and started really cool. So it's a shit show real fast. It was cool. A little bit, yeah. I did this thing. I made like this. So one of my homegirls, she ordered food today, and she said, "Yo, I'm gonna order something." I said, she always just check in if I'm there. 'Cause she knows I'm gonna make that shit fast. So she said, "Yo, I'm gonna order real quick." So yeah, hook it up. I said, "All right, cool." So I grabbed that lavash, threw some cheese in it, some steak, pickled onions, and salsa. Melted that shit, and then threw it on the flat top with like mozzarella cheese, and then wrap it in like griddled cheese. It was like the ultimate stoner shit. And like my partner took a picture of me doing it, and then it turned into a whole ass thing. So it became a thing, and we ran out of lavash in 20 minutes. Yeah, dude, that was just dude. It was dang for real. Like it was really good. Thanks for having me. So yeah, like, I don't have like that very typical like chef story where like they were watching their mom cook or their grandma cook and was like, oh, I want to do that one day. That wasn't a thing in my family. Like we were like big cooks. Nobody cooked at home, so I didn't really get into cooking until like my first cooking job. So like cooking and stuff like that was always just like means to an end. Like it's just sustenance. It wasn't. It was never like, oh man, it's gonna be some great career I have to pursue, and I'm gonna whatever. I never had that until I went to my first job. I've told the story many times, but I'll tell it again. I like the story. So I started working at the Berghoff in Chicago. Are you familiar with the Berghoff? It's like a legendary restaurant, like old school. Like I think it's business license and liquor license is one. It's the first one ever issued by the city. They've been around forever. So it was like legendary during the holidays because it's right off State Street. And during the holidays, I mean, they would just get killed 1,500 covers a day. You know what I mean? Literally, like, that's not even an exaggeration. And I applied to work there for the season, like a seasonal gig. I was trying to be a server. I wasn't even trying to be a cook. You know what I mean? And I ended up I ended up in the kitchen somehow, and the chef threw me into a stage. Right? He was like, "Yo," he goes, "Well, I wasn't dressed for a stage. He told me to come back the next day." And I came back the next day with like, whatever I had on, like non-slip shoes and shit. And I had basically lied to get the job and the interview. So I was like, yeah, I've cooked before, and I never cooked before. And he puts me in the kitchen to massage, and I just got like he puts me in pantry. He goes, "We're gonna put you in pantry," and that's like garde manger, but that's like the old way of saying it. He was like, "We're gonna put you in pantry." I was like, "Shit, run that! I'll just put groceries away all day." Like I didn't know that was like I didn't know that like garbo, right? Yeah, I thought I was gonna be putting groceries away. I was like, hell yeah, I got this data in the bag, right? So he like puts me over there with homie, and like I always tell people like this part about cooking and about restaurants and like sit down dining is you hear 1,200 covers and yeah, that's a fucking lot. Like that's a fuck ton for any restaurant. Don't matter. This is 3 floors, whatever. And but like that gets divided amongst the different stations and amongst like 20 different people. You know what I mean? Like the grill was massive. You had like 5 people on it, so they never got into. Garmo was just one guy, and that night it was 2 guys. So we touched every dish. You know what I mean? Like every dish got a side and a salad. So I had my hands in all of them. And I remember feeling like, oh, this is pretty cool. Like, I had never done that kind of work. So this is pretty cool. Like I started feeling like that rush.
Right.
And at the end of the, chef called me into the office to talk about the gig. And he was like, yo, I just want to apologize, man. He goes, I knew you've never cooked before. He goes, I just was kind of fucking with you a little bit. I just want to see how long you last. And I mean, I stayed the whole shift, And he said, he goes, basically, he said, dude, I can teach you how to cook, so that's the easy part of it. I can't teach you like about love and about integrity. He goes, you got that. He goes, so if you want to learn how to cook, I'll teach you. And I had never had anyone talk to me like that before. You know what I mean? I no one had ever like not as an adult that wasn't related to me. You know what I'm saying? Like no one outside of my family ever told me I was ever gonna be shit or that I was special. So this dude that I don't know from Adam, you know what I mean? Like he kind of gave me the pat on the shoulder and was like, come on, man, like I think you got this. And I was like, there was more than the food that I fell in love with and the hospitality and that part of the industry. You know what I mean? Like that side of it is more what I fell in love with. Like the food part came later. Like I didn't learn how to appreciate food until I learned how to cook it. You know what I mean? Like to me, it was just shit you put in a pan. Because it was just a job for me. I was one of those cats that was just like, yo, this is a paycheck. I'm cool with it. And, but like I love the return, like that whole like organization, like the way a kitchen set up. I love being in the mix with people. I like all that shit, that camaraderie that like you're in the heat of battle, like you can be crushed. And it's just you and the people next to you. And like you come out of that like hell yeah. Like it doesn't matter what level of cooking you're at. Like there's nothing that beats that high. And I was like, yo, like I'm into it.
Right.
Like,
You fell in love with the ambiance.
I fell in love with hospitality, man. Like I fell in love with like that side of it. Like the food part, that's the easy part. You know what I mean? It's like caring and letting people know that you care. Like that's the hard part. And I think that that's what I try to teach my guys. It's like shit, cooking, anybody can do that. Like so being polite, being like respectful of people's like dietary restrictions, all that stuff like that, like their allergies and like learning how to listen to people and how to like think of their needs and consider their needs. That's something that's just like either that's in you or it's not. And I love watching people like figure that out. You know what I mean? That this is what they love about it. You know what I mean? And to me, that's the part that I love the most. Like I said, the food, that's the part that kind of equalizes it. In my opinion, like because any motherfucker can cook. You know what I mean? You throw enough shit in the pan, it's gonna be good. And it becomes alchemy at that point. But like somebody who cares, man, like for real care, not just like that chef care, like, oh man, I pay attention to every ingredient. It's like I touch that's bullshit. That's the narrative that we sell people. I'm talking about like loving the people who come in and appreciating what they do for you, more than expecting them to appreciate what you do for them. You know what I'm saying? Like they
Right.
pay our
Building
bills.
connections and really building a relationship with, all your guests. And once you do that, you're able to really, reach much deeper into, their likes and dislikes
and your own. And you learn more about yourself too, but by listening to what people like, dislike, and like really taking it in and sitting with it, you learn about yourself and like what you're willing to do for somebody else. Like if you're just gonna be like, fuck that, I'm not doing that, then you know what kind of person you are. But if it affects you and you really conscientiously start ordering, start writing menus with those kind of people in mind, that's a whole other level. That's the next level. You know what I mean? And like I really try to push that on my people because like those people pay our bills, man. When they come in, like they should know that they're cared about because we care about them. And I tell them like to try to remove the transaction from the interaction. You know what I mean? Like so
I love that. I love that saying right there.
Oh, this I had this for a minute.
That's dope.
Thanks, man. Thanks. But like I said, that's it, man. Making the connection with people, through food, through the restaurant, through hospitality. It's all symbiotic. It's not one or the other. You know what I mean? Like, if someone's coming to your place just to eat, that's all they're ever going to think of it as. And it's never going to have any. They'll never have any real loyalty to it, other than how they're feeling that day. Like, I don't really want whatever it is that we serve there. So they're just not going to come. But you get people that once you build that loyalty and that connection, man, they're celebrating anniversaries, birthdays, fucking funerals at your spot, and that's special. Like that's beautiful.
No, I love that. That's definitely a new perspective here on Late Night with Chefs. Um, in terms of like how you got into it and how you fell in love with it from like that hospitality side. Even for me, I was always I fell in love with the molecular and fuck around with shit too much, and I always got called out for it, but so No, it's really
That's
awesome to hear, you know,
fun.
like another perspective. And you know, so you started off Berghoff. You know, did you meet any people you're still like in touch with there, or like, you know, what was the next step?
And all those cats were like, I mean, you're talking about dudes that have been there for 40 years. I mean, I've been cooking for 20 years since then. So like, I'd be very surprised if those cats are still alive. But like, you know, I mean, seriously, these dudes were like in their 50s and 60s, dog. They were making fucking bank. They weren't going nowhere. Like those kind of cats, those lifers, like they die in that fucking spot. But like, you know, I see them on the street. It's a big city, but a small town. You know what I mean? Like you
Right.
see everybody. So like, I catch them on the train. You know, we all work in the same areas, so I see them on the train, and you know, hey, what's up, man? Oh, you still cooking? Oh, that's cool. You know, that kind of shit. Like, it was never nothing like, here's my phone number, dog, get at me. I mean, because these are old ass men, you know. Like, they were just like, they had like whole ass lives and families and grandkids. Like, what the fuck I look like hanging out with them? So, like I said, I stay cordial with them, but that was 20 years ago, you know.
Right. So, you know, what was the next step after, you know, you fell in love with, you know, hospitality and getting that connection with people? Where did the culinary world take you next?
You know, like, I bopped around. You know, I did like things at like a bunch of spots. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't really until like you know, like after, so I did the whole thing right at the Burger, and chef was like, you know, you should think about culinary school. I was like, nah, I'm not getting down with that. You know, like not because of that. I mean, like, it was just expensive. And if I'm keeping it real with you, it wasn't even about that. I didn't give a fuck about cooking. It was just like, which I didn't at that point. It was just a job, but I liked aspects of it, but it wasn't something that I thought of like, oh man, this is it. I'm gonna hang my hat on this one.
Right, like a career
And
yet.
think about it. I was like, whatever, right? So um, I met a couple of cats along the way. The corner school met some people and got a couple internships, and you know, like everything just kind of started going from there, like progressing. And you know, like spent some time in fucking like Trotters and all those kind of spots. You know what I mean? Like any place that was hot in Chicago, I had worked in, and like, you know, all that shit. And but it wasn't until like, man, when I went to Momotaro, when I was really like down, like, I have been kind of serious, but when I got to Momotaro, it was like another level. Like I had never opened a restaurant at that point, and we were on the opening team, so that really
Were
like,
you with young Francis on the opening
you
team there?
know, Francis knows the drill. He's the homie. It's like an AKA Vendedor Chicago. Bro, here's a funny story about Francis, okay? I mean, you know Francis, and you know that like he's Albanian, like straight from over there.
Right.
And well, he speaks Spanish like I do, like a Mexican. Like he speaks that the colloquial Mexican Spanish. Like he knows all that shit, like all the like the weird ass little double entendre. Like he knows all of that. And so it fucked me up when I found out he was Albanian. Because I straight up, dude, like for like, man, the first like 4 months I was I thought he was Mexican as hell. Because we were talking that shit, dude. Like, and he's fluent. He doesn't even have an accent. It's insane. Like, I know Mexicans who still don't believe that he's not Mexican.
Right.
So we were on the opening team there, you know, and like I learned a lot there, like as far as like that kind of shit, like opening a restaurant, like, and I saw a whole other side of it, you know, and like the game was different at that point, like that was that milestone in my career was more like I can do this. I had never really thought about, like I said, dude, at that point, up until that point, it was just like whatever, like it's just a fucking job. My head's down, I'm doing my thing. You know, the world needs ditch diggers too, dude. And I was a ditch digger for a long time, and I was cool with that. I was fine with that. And when I got to Momotaro, we were allowed to like fuck around and experiment and like put shit on the menu. You know what I mean? Like it was more collaborative because we're opening the fucking restaurant. You know what I mean? Like nothing was set in stone. That first menu was like 22 pages long. It was ridiculous. Like no, like, I swear to God, it was like this thick. I am not even bullshit.
Was there any, you
And
know, pinnacle dishes that, you know, bring you
that,
back?
yeah, man. So the chawan mushi was like a motherfucker. Dude. Like that was my station there. And
And to all our viewers tuning in, you know, can you explain what a chama mushi is and you know, what's the process?
So chawanmushi is like a Jap. It was not light. It is. It's a Japanese custard. Like that's steamed. It's a steamed custard. Um, it should have like a little bit of give. Like I mean like silky on like a skin, but like underneath it like silky kind of like nice and creamy type shit. And so we were doing one at Momotaro, and fuck, dude, like that shit gave me nightmares. It would change like with a. It's such a like sneaky dish because you have to like it's like yolks, you separate the yolks, and it's the whole thing, right? And then like you have to run it through like a chinois, and like add sake. It's a whole bunch of dashi and all that. It's a whole like process. And then you have to steam it a certain way at a certain temperature. And if it's 1 minute over, 1 minute under, trash. Like because if you pull it early, you can't put it back in, and there's no carryover. So it's just soup at that point. It's just egg soup. It's disgusting.
Like compare it to like a souffle almost.
For sure, like it's just like gross ass raw, like semi raw egg. Like it's not even like raw, like whatever. But it's just weird, like yeah, whatever. If you fuck it up, there's no way around.
Right.
It's just, and so that dish right there, like always, like I have on the side of my glasses, I have the word chawan written down there on the side of my glasses because like friends used to call me Big Daddy Chawan. So it just turned into the whole thing, and he was Little Daddy. So
was that because he could never nail it?
dude, that was a fucking G, bro.
So you were rocking the chamushi station,
dude, and like I would go, that station would go down like hard because you have to keep opening the oven. You know what I mean? Like you never let it get back up to temp properly. So you have to steam it for like 3 minutes, and then fire another one. I'm like, fuck, dude, I can't. I have to wait 3 minutes. You know, I can't open this. So it was just a bitch, dude. Like, and so that one kind of that's when it like this just stands out. It's more from like that like perspective. It was just like a nightmare. And then like doing like the prep stuff. So that's another part of it too. Like I really learned to respect prep cooks a lot more because I got like promoted to like sous chef, and I was the AM one. So I'd be down there like with the prep people. And I mean, Momotaro we're prepping for like 600 covers, 500
right?
covers.
It's a beast. I mean, no, for sure, it's.
And I really learned to respect that side of the game. You know what I mean? Like getting down there and just doing all the work. And I think that's kind of where my perspective kind of started to change too.
Well, you guys also had like the super freezer, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. That big.
Yeah, it's like you get the Momotaro is like one of the only ones that really have that super freezer to get like what half tunas and stuff like that.
Yeah, we used to take the tunas, we break them down, throw them in there, and they'd be frozen like in 5-10 minutes, like completely like that's like the trick to like that kind of shit. It has to drop super fast.
Right.
And that thing, it's essentially hospital equipment. So like it's like for plasma, because plasma has to stay cold, like get cold really fast. So it's like hospital, like wasn't even supposed to be there. Funny story about that thing. One of my friends, Dave, like that, it would defrost every once in a while. It would just beep, beep, like just. So one of the homies, Dave and Francis, we're all homies, so he all knows the story. He convinced me, dude, like little by little, because I'm a super paranoid kind of person to begin with. So he's like, dude, like, and I mentioned something about schizophrenia and how like, dude, how it trips me out. Like, that's what's so scary about schizophrenia is that you never know if you're like in an episode, whatever. This all could be a schizophrenic delusion, and you don't even know, right? I don't even know how we got into that conversation, but we got into that conversation. So this motherfucker took that shit, right? And he convinced me that I was like in a coma and that beeping was from fucking the machine. And he did that shit for like 3 days, dude. He just kept fucking. So when I bought in, I was like, oh. He goes, dude. He goes, think about it. Like, why would you be bringing up? I was like, yo, for real. Like, he just fucking. And he had me for like 2 days. I was like, it was kept fucking.
Wow, beeping. Yeah, that would throw me off, man. There's always, those noises, those weird noises that, you and your buddies are the only ones that hear it because it is what it is.
Here at events, because the building's been here forever, and like the previous owner died. I don't know if he died here or not, but I know he died. Like, it's fucking weird in here sometimes when you're here by yourself, like in the morning, if you're early or like through the day at night, like the fucking, like stuff fall. I mean, stuff like that you can kind of in your mind write it off like, oh, that was just the wind or whatever. Kind of,
Right.
Weird noises, and then I'm like, as soon as somebody comes up, like, hey, come stand next to me, come over here, hang out, don't leave, please. Just hugging people. But,
No, yeah. Kitchens in the morning themselves, can be.
Right? Like the kitchens in the morning, like if you're like a pastry person, like I don't know how the fuck they do that. Like they have to be like at 4 a.m. It's dark. All you hear is that the hood going. Like that's eerie as shit. I don't know how they do it. Hats off to them.
Right. If you think about line cooks, we pretty much wake up at noon. You know, we are like, when we're in the weeds, we're pretty much partying with the guests as the restaurant is in full swing, and
when it's humming, there's nothing. I always tell people like when the restaurant's humming the way it's supposed to, that's like a work of art. It's beautiful. Like when it's just everybody's firing on all cylinders the way it's supposed to. It's like boom, boom, boom. That's like fun, dude. There's no feeling like that. I mean, I'm sure there are, but like none that I've experienced. You know what I mean? It's like that's the thing. It's that high, dude. Where you're like, fuck, I guess like I'll do it again tomorrow. It's like just like that part of it. Like I always love all that shit.
right,
Like
when everybody's on point and you're busy, but you got this rhythm, and front of the house isn't slamming you all in one sitting. Everything is beautifully orchestrated. No, for sure. Yeah, those are the best days. And the best thing that one of the biggest thing I miss, since I haven't been in the kitchen for about 8+ months, is that leaving after work and like being like, damn, I just, like I crushed that shit, like I had it.
The best part of that though, I mean, from back in the day was like when you get your little crew that like you guys are cleaning and you're like, dude, down the street it's still open. When it was for me, and everybody just goes and just fucking like it used our place to be ushered off. It was like right there, and they were open late, so like we would all go in there, and fuck. I mean, like 10 of us just go in there and fuck shit up. You know what I mean? Like I don't drink. I've never had alcohol in my life. Like by the way. But I go there and fucking hang out. You know what I mean? Like they get fucking ripped, and I mean we close it down. We have a good time, and I miss that like a lot of that shit too. You know what I mean? Like I said, I was always more of like the vibe kind of like I always fucked with that vibe, and it's like that vibe at Momotaro was really rad. Like that opening scene, like we all still hang, like we're all still friends. Like I consider Francis one of my closest friends. Like he's a good dude. You know what I mean? Like we met there. Like you know what I mean? Like all the people that I met there, like I still fuck with. Like they come in to all my spots. They come to hang out. You know what I mean? Like we show each other love. Like like people, all that shit. It's cool. You know what I'm saying? That's the kind of stuff that I always was more of my jam, like that camaraderie.
Right.
Like, that's the biggest part of it for me. And like the late night, like after work, going like to Maxwell Street or some shit, like let's go get some Polish sausages. Oh, hey, fuck it, let's go to White Castle and get like 100 White Castle and just act up. Like that was like that's another part of the high that I used to chase.
Right. The party continues after the close.
And then like I said, like I don't drink, so I was always like, fuck, you guys want to stay up? I'm just gonna be tired. Y'all are gonna be hungover, so I'm cool with that. Like I'll stay up with you all night. So, I kind of used to do that shit. Like we go out and everybody gets like just wasted, dude. But like not like that, like gross wasted, but like fun, like the party's still going kind of shit. Never like aggressive, never like weird. Always a really good vibe. And that's why I used to kick it so much with those guys. And I don't really do that kind of shit. Like I don't really hang out with people outside of work. Not for no other reason than like.
Right. It's like a friends night out, enjoying yourself. Yeah. Everybody's on a good frequency,
Yeah, I think like I said, because up to that point, it's job. But this is like one of the ones where I really felt like they were my family. You know what I'm saying? Like these are my people. You know what I mean? I finally met my family. And then, I left from there to, I went to California for a little bit. And when I came back from California, I was like, yeah, I don't ever want to work for anybody again. I was like, fuck that. So I opened my first spot, my coffee shop, which is in Irving Park. It's called Pino. One of my homies who I used to work with back in the day.
Right. You guys were like, I mean, super hype, and Eater and all these publicity and stuff like that. You guys were doing some awesome things.
I mean, you know what it was? It was one of those things that when my friend asked me to, because he hit me up. He's like, "Hey, bro, like, I don't want to work for anybody anymore. I want to open a restaurant." He goes, "You want to open a restaurant with me?" I was like, "No, not really. I had no desire to open a restaurant." I was like, "Fuck that." Like, I was done with restaurants at that. And
What was the experience in California that made you come back and not wanna, what were those? Is there anything that you like can?
I mean, like, like nothing crazy. Just more like the time that I was there was, it was time. It was just, just one thing. You're like, all right, cool. Like, I did that thing. Like, what am I gonna do now? And I didn't have money to like figure it out in LA. Like, you gotta, like, I always tell people I wouldn't go back to LA like for an extended period of time unless I was rich. Because they fuck that. Why would you want to work if you live in LA? It's rap. You know what I mean? You go to the beach, you go surfing, kicking it, and hang out and like smoke weed everywhere. And it's a party all the time. Like, why the fuck would you want to go to work? So I came back here to kind of figure out what I wanted to figure out. Like, I didn't know what my next move was. Like, I went to help open the restaurant. We did that. You know what I mean? It's a little longer than expected, but we did all that. And they offered me the chance to stay, and I was like, I'm really just working to like, I mean, anywhere really, but I didn't want to live with anybody, and like a lot of other shit. You know what I mean? Like, I don't drive. I like at that point I wasn't driving period. Like, I hate driving, and public transit in LA sucks. And I'm from here, and I'm used to like a good public transit system.
Right, so getting around easily and conveniently.
So it was just a lot of little things that ended up being like, I'm just gonna go back home and figure out what my next move is. And if it brings me back out this way, cool. Like, I'm way open to that. But I can't afford to figure out shit here.
Now, as the chef, do you think it's very important to stay open to opportunities as they come your way and kind of see as it goes?
Just, like, life in general is that way. You know what I mean? Like, you should just live your life that way. Period. Like, I think that like keeping the door open, keeping the windows open, you know what I mean? It lets all the breeze in. And you figure it out. Like, you don't know what you don't know, and you don't know what you like or don't like until you try it out. So it's pointless to be like, well, that's not for me. Shit, how do you know it's not for you? Yeah, I like to find out what's not for me through experience. Like, I don't regret any shitty job I've ever had. Any like people are like, oh, that was a bad. I mean, shit, they're all bad jobs until you find a good one. So I used to just be like, whatever, I'm down. I never look at it as like a negative experience because I'm learning something. I'm learning that I don't fucking ever want to do that again. You know what I mean?
Right.
So like, I mean, do that, and that's important too on people who are just starting their careers out. I just had this conversation with a young cat that works there. I was like, dude, like, it's important to like figure out like what you never want to do, and like as far as like service and food and shit like that. I said, like, if you're on an opening team, like you're picking up so much game right now. I said, like,
right, you're getting like one-on-one coaching, pretty much, personal VIP.
You're watching everything right next to us. You know what I mean? I have the time to tutor you, to mentor you, to talk to you about the things that like, that you might not think to like look at. I'm like, hey, bro, pay attention to this. You know what I'm saying? Hey, bro, like, that kind of shit. And so like, and I told him, I said, learn from all of my mistakes that we're making here too. You know what I mean? Because this is a new business model, like in the pandemic. You know what I mean? Like, all to go, all that shit like that. I mean, like, those kind of places didn't exist as in the vast abundance that they do now. You know what I mean? Like, where it's takeout only. Like, there was a couple spots like that, and you'd be really bummed and you wouldn't want to go there because you want to sit down. But then you remove the option of dining in, and then all of a sudden everything's takeout, and now you have to rethink a lot of shit that you never thought of. Like your fixed costs. This is like boring shit, right? Like, this is the boring stuff. And I said, bro, you're learning all the boring shit like in the most exciting way. You know what I mean? Like, we're learning all like.
Just to give us a couple examples, just so we can draw like an image. What is the boring shit?
Like,
or what is he referring to the boring shit?
I refer to that as like thinking of like figuring out like your fixed cost. All right, cool. Like, for example, do we want to use like we don't do a printer, like, so like we just have like a touch screen kind of thing, almost like like the McDonald's type shit was like a touch screen. And
Right.
we don't have a ticket machine because paper is fucking expensive. And when you do the math on you're printing everything up, like all that printer paper, like that shit adds up. You know what I mean?
Right. 8 o'clock.
Like,
Give me another roll. Give me another roll.
no, I mean like that's that's
Double-sided.
like, exactly. And then it's everything's proprietary, so you have to buy it from these people. And like you can buy the bootleg shit at Restaurant Depot, but like if
Then it jams, and then
you know what I'm saying? Like you could do all that. And then the other thing I was telling them was like to-go boxes, bro. Like that used to be like 2% of your annual it's expenses. Now it's like 30-40% of what you put into your restaurant weekly.
right.
You know what I mean? Because it's all to-go boxes. Like that's the kind of shit that I didn't think of. You know what I mean? Like why the fuck would I think of that? Like I've never had a place that only used to-go boxes. I would order a case and be like, all right, I'm cool. Like a case used to last like 3 months. You know what I mean? Like we go through 4 cases a week and shit. Dude, you know what I mean? It's crazy. I mean, maybe not that much, but like we go through like cases of shit here, like stuff that like you'd maybe buy a case of it a year. Like, it was wild. Like straws, okay, like straws. Most places it could go like a decade with a case of straws. Like seriously, I worked at restaurants where they were still like on the first 2 boxes from opening like 3 years in. You know what I mean? And it's like because everybody sits down, they're drinking water, nobody wants to fucking straw. Like they're just stacked up, right? But now everything's to go, straws. I mean, all that shit, and they're jacking all those prices.
Right. You got to think about so many different things now, and I'm like, I can't even imagine, especially if like people are people able to like put everything on the side and put like a bunch of random sauces, and then you got all these thousands different ramekins and.
I mean, like, that's what I was telling my man. I said, think about that shit. I look at this, bro. Like, look at the mistakes we're making here. Because, like, it's never, like, this is going to be the base level right now. Like, this is, like, right here is the fallback. Where we're at now with the way restaurants are set up, like, with the way everything's set up, like, this is always going to be this is like the emergency plan. Shut everything down to go everything. And if you've never done that before, it's going to fuck you up. But if you've done it before, like, and you've experienced this level of, like, readiness, this is your most basic level of training. I mean, you're ready for that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're ready for that. Like at your very most basic level of training, you're ready to see your business through a pandemic. I'd say that's a pretty good fucking baseline startup.
Right.
I mean, like that's just learning, and like for free. But actually, I'm paying him to learn this. So like, I always tell people like, look at it that way. You know what I mean? Like when you go get a job, they're paying you to learn, and it's up to you, like how you want, like what you want to do with that education. You know, what I mean, you really want to learn something, or you want to like seem like you want to learn something. And my man wants to learn, and he wants to open his own spot. He has like very clear goals, and I respect that. So on that shit, stand next to me, and like I'll teach you some shit. You know, like mentorship is the other big part about cooking too, bro. Like it's all about. If you're a chef, it's 100% your responsibility to teach your people the proper kitchen culture. Everybody wants to take the accolades of like all the like awards and everybody, oh man, I'm so proud of, but nobody wants to take the L, bro. Nobody, like when you confront somebody about having a shitty kitchen culture, they automatically want to throw it like, oh well, that's just culture. It's like, nah, bro, it's the culture you perpetuated, right? Like if you're doing that bullshit all the time, then yeah, this seems normal to you because you've been writing it off as the culture, but like that's the end with us. And I feel like all that shit's done. Like that whole day is done. So I'm learning too, you know, I'm learning like, not like that, like, I'm learning like different, like.
Right, you have a different perspective now, right?
And it's like, I mean, I literally, you can ask anybody who's worked with me, everybody's like, I don't curse at anyone in the kitchen, I don't raise my voice in the kitchen, I don't yell, I don't scream, I don't throw shit, like, that's all nothing.
So my question is, who mentored you? Who was your, and if it doesn't have to be one, but who are those people that instilled those, work ethics and ideas and perspectives into you?
I mean, like, chef-wise, I mean, Matthias, from New Show, Charlie Trotter, you know what I mean? Like, Matthias Merch is like, he's a cool cat. You know what I mean? He wasn't always like that, but he like taught me a lot about like, cause he's super zen. Like that fucking dude climbs mountains and like he meditates like 3 times a day. Like, dude, he's punch him in the stomach. It's like hitting a rock. He's ripped. He does like yoga.
Wow.
Yeah,
I'm gonna Google this guy after this pod.
He's a cool cat, and he taught me a lot about like, slowing things down. Like he's like, take it in. What are we looking at? You know what I mean? Like it's easy to kind of just hear the ticket machine going off and be like, like I gotta get stopped. He used to be like, okay, like stop. That thing's beeping, fine, but like, what is it? What are we looking at? What do we have in front of us? Like this is manageable. You know what I mean? Like he taught me to like kind of look at it that way. Like he's like, chef, the best part about a bad service is, and I was like, it comes to an end, and you get a chance to be better tomorrow. And he was always like that. You know what I mean? It was that kind of like shit where I was like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, all right, like, I get that. Like I respond well to those kind of things. When someone's like, yo, no pressure, but there's a lot of pressure. You know what I mean? Like I don't like that. When you get a guy like he's like, yes, there's a lot of pressure going on, and yes, this does, and it's gonna happen again tomorrow. Are you gonna be better tomorrow? Like that's the kind of stuff that I respond well to, because that puts it in my hands, and it takes it away from the universe and all this bad service and this guy's doing this and that guy's doing that. It's like, yo, it's not me. It's my personal accountability. And do I want to be better, or do I want to keep saying like, oh, well, so-and-so with the fucking mistake, I would have been on time of my pickup. We were supposed to meet it. Like, all of the excuses that people throw when they're having a bad service,
Right.
And he put that like, he's like, dude, like, yeah, it's a bad service, but like, that's on you. The way you react to that. And I really took that to heart. I mean, Mark from Momotaro obviously like taught me a lot about like being like this, like, I don't know, like being okay with what you're putting out in front of somebody. Like he's a cool cat, man. I mean, he's still alive. He's still a cool guy. He's not dead. But his whole thing was like, he made staff meal one time, right? Like this is the mindset. Okay? He made staff meal one time, and he made like a cassoulet. Dude, he made a big ass cassoulet for staff meal. It was fucking fire, right? And I was like, he never did that shit. I take great pride in cooking staff meal. Like I thoroughly enjoy cooking it. I actually asked for that to be my task, and I'll come in early off the clock to get done with my shift early just to make a proper staff meal. Anyone who's ever worked with me will attest to that. Seriously, I take that shit really seriously. Feeding my fellow cooks in front of house and everybody is a very big joy. Right? It brings me a lot of pleasure. And one of those rewards is intangible.
Right, because you connect with you're feeding everybody. You're connecting with everybody. There's that camaraderie, and everybody's patting you on the back, saying how bomb. Thank you, and they're all waking up at 11 and noon, and then they don't have to worry about the first thing that's gonna go in their stomach is gonna be something smack.
Fire. You know what I'm saying? Like all the homies would like dude, like for real, like I used to look at the schedule and be like, all right, boom, 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 boom. That person's a vegetarian, this person's a vegan, and they get completely separate meals from everybody else. It wouldn't be just like no chicken. It would be like a completely different fucking menu for them. That's
amazing.
Because like I take it that seriously. I don't want you to ever feel like you're an afterthought. Period.
Well, and those little things is what when we're talking about three Michelin star restaurants, right? They go above and beyond for their clients, their guests. If they look through their Instagram, they find out they don't like this, or they've never had a hot dog, they give them a hot dog. So this is almost like the back end of it, of like knowing your people and like making sure that they're happy to wake up, to come to work, get the substance, get the love, and really connect on a deeper level.
That's absolutely it. And it's also to build on that. That's absolutely 100% it. Like, and to build on that, like I always tell people, if you think hospitality starts when you walk in the door, then you've already lost. Like that's not, like it has to be like who you are, like in you. Like when you wake up, like holding the door open for somebody, like doing something that's just like doesn't necessarily need to be reciprocated. Like all those things are like trademarks of hospitality. You know what I mean? And like if you really want that to be the culture where you work at, you have to do it from the moment that they wake up and they walk in the door and they, like you said, that they know they're going to eat something bomb. Whatever little subliminal consciousness they took away from it, it's that they at least know what they're cared for, and that they're being heard and that their needs are being met. And like And that's very intentional on mine. That's not like something that like, oh, I didn't mean to do that. It's like, no, I do that shit on purpose because I want you to know that, yo, like, fuck, dude, it's not gonna be fun here today, or it might be the best day of your life, but at least you know the person who made you that meal like really thought about you, and let that be the thing that kind of you think about when it's like, oh man, you know what I mean? Like, because dude, it's always a low spot in service, but if you start off with a W, I mean, like,
Right. Everything can,
yeah, there's no
go
better
up
way to
from
start
there.
your, yeah, and like also too, like one of my like I'm from the hood, you know what I mean? Like I grew up Douglas Park, like when it was Douglas Park, you know what I mean? Like crack in the crack era and shit, you know what I mean? Like kind of shit. Like, and a lot of the I grew up in the street. Yeah, I didn't grow up in the street. I had a family and I was mom and dad. I had a nice family, you know, my family's pretty cool.
Right. What were some of your favorite late night snacks or snacks at that point of your life?
Oh, this is what I was gonna say. So like the cats that I hung out with, they were all the older dudes, you know what I mean? They were always really cool with me. They were never like, there was never, I mean, I was into whatever I was into, but they were always really, they guided me and they mentored me and they taught me like about loyalty and stuff like that. And about love and respect, like genuine love and respect for one another. And the thing that we used to, this is more of a early morning kind of, or whatever. But have you ever heard of Moon Sandwich Shop?
No, I have not.
Check out Moons, dude. They're fucking fire. It's on Western and like, what is that? Western. It's on Western. Whatever.
What is it called again?
Moons, like Moons.
Moons.
Moon Sandwich Shop. Like they've been there forever, dude. I mean, like it's an old school, like U-shaped with old. I mean, the refrigerators are like from the 40s. I mean, it's old. You know what I mean? And they deliver breakfast sandwiches. So, you know, whenever we would be out there doing our thing, you know, sometimes we pull an all-nighter, and we would, I swear to God, 100% true story. We would go to the payphone in the corner. So this would be, you gotta remember, I'm old, dude. Like I'm like 40, you know what I mean? So like, this was when I was a kid, like 12 and 13, and 13, 14. And we would go to the payphone and call Moons up because they start delivery at 7. So they used to, I don't know what they do now. So we call them up at like 8 o'clock in the morning, whatever, and then order a bunch of breakfast sandwiches to the bench in Douglas Park across the street from the corner store. Like literally, that was the direction. We'd be like, yeah, can you deliver to the bench across the street from the corner store on 8th California? And they'd be like, yeah, absolutely. Like they didn't even think about it. Like they didn't even question it. So we just get like these sandwiches delivered from the bench. And those are like some of the best moments. They're like these older cats just like sitting there eating breakfast, like these good ass dudes, just like.
No, that's pretty dope.
It was just the whole vibe, you know, and like those dudes taught me a lot about like how to move the way I move and kind of how to treat people with a certain level of respect and like how to demand a certain level of respect. Obviously, those lessons change as time goes on, and you kind of proximity to that, like to that whole lifestyle and that's the game. You know what I'm saying? Like we call it the game. You know what I mean? Like when you're in the game, that's a whole other lifestyle. And like once you start stepping back from it, like it's always in you, but you're just not in it. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Right. No, it's like that quote with Anthony Bourdain. It's like, you want to have a sous chef that has a criminal mind, kind of bring that to the table where you're using those skill sets in a different manner and applying different perspectives to them.
And I tell people like, people think of it like a wire or some shit like that, right? I mean, I'm sure that happens too, but like the cats that I hung around with were always more like, and it's just, again, why hospitality speaks to me, you know what I mean? Like they schooled me in a different way where they used to be like, yo, like if you come hang out with people because of, it's what draws you to somebody is where your loyalties lie, right? And they like, if you only hang out with somebody because they got money, then that's where your loyalties lie. When the money runs out, then you're gonna go find somebody else, and like you can never be trusted, and your loyalty can never be trusted. But when you do something out of love, out of like you care, like it's in you, it's for the love, you know what I mean? Because we all used to be like, yo, we used to say like whatever, talk about love to one another, because I mean that's the only thing that really we had. That was the only tie that bound us, was that we all loved one another, and they taught me how to like be okay with like accepting someone's like respect and but like asking for it too, like being like, yo, I don't tolerate this kind of thing, boom, 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 you know what I mean? Like I don't like this kind of shit. I'll always treat you a certain way if you promise to always treat me a certain way, and then taking them at their word. but then like letting them know the consequences when they cross the line. You know what I mean? And like that, like I said, that has changed over the years. Like it used to be, a motherfucker cross the line, you do what you got to do to them. But now it's just more like cut their shit, you fire them. You know what I mean?
Right.
but like it's about love. You know what I mean? Out of respect. You know what I mean? Here's a certain thing a line that I don't want you to cross. You know what I mean? Like I said, I don't yell at anybody. I don't ask anybody. I'll tell you, I don't curse nobody. I don't call nobody out their name. None of that bullshit. Like, because that's disrespectful. And if you want somebody to respect you, that's the most basic love. Like, seeing like chefs scream at people really fucking pisses me off. Like, and for a lot of reasons, it's a sign of weakness more than anything. That's why I laugh at that shit. Like, somebody screaming at you has effectively done two things: showing you how to make them mad, and showing you how to shut them up. Like when somebody starts screaming at you, you want them to stop, right? The lesson you're trying to teach this person is not going to get through. They just want you to stop yelling. They're going to say whatever the fuck they got to say to shut you up. Do whatever they got to do to shut you up. And I promise you, the lesson you were trying to teach these cats was not. All they learned was how to shut you up, and all they learned was what set you up.
Right. Yes, chef. Yes, chef. Right. That's.
Yeah, you taught them how to be sneaky, and that you have nobody to blame when you find shit hidden under stuff. You know what I mean? Like stuff in the drawers, like. Because you taught them to be afraid of you, as opposed to respecting you. Because when they respect you, they're gonna think that this place is like, they're gonna take pride in it. They're like, yo, this is the motherfucker I want to see him succeed, and they'll put in. You know what I mean? So when you scream at somebody, they're never gonna give you the kind of loyalty that you need to go to another level. You know what I mean? Like at least I've never experienced where it's a true, like, it's a bunch of people coming together for a certain goal, right? To get a star, get whatever, and like that's cool, that's perfect. And when it works, it works. But when you respect one another, you know what I mean? When everybody's just like fucking, and like really like this,
Right.
that's a whole other level you can't get without respect. And respect breeds love. You know what I mean? And love and respect go hand in hand. They're not mutually exclusive, you know. And I always tell people that, you know what I mean? Like, be the kind of cat that people want to root for. You know what I mean? Be the kind of dude that like, or person, be the kind of person, I would say cat, because like could be man or woman. But be the kind of cat that like people look at and like, yo, man.
But like with that being said, like, kind of going back to your Momotaro days when you guys had like a clique, right? There's still people that come in and out of that clique that, have that bad judgment. You just kind of filter them out, right?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying, dude. Like, again, it comes from like all this other shit too, but like your life experience dictates the kind of energy that you draw in too, right? Because like if you don't have no kind of experience in anything, you're gonna draw the predators, the people who just want to take advantage of you. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
Like the people who like do what they do to whoever and get over on you too. And like, but when you have like this kind of like the kind of thing that we have in the power, people walk in and like we see them and the vibe doesn't fit. And not like on some clicky shit, but like, yo, like we worked really hard to build this, like, to cultivate this family. And when the vibe doesn't fit, they weed themselves out. You know what I mean? It's just, they leave of their own accord. It was never like some bully shit. And that's what I'm saying, that goes back to that shit where it's like, it's a carefully cultivated vibe of like love. Like we all love each other. And we wouldn't accept any less. And not on some like, get out of here type shit. Like we weren't territorial, but like, when a whole restaurant don't fuck with you.
Yeah, you guys were all self-motivated to succeed. You guys all wanted best for each other, and then like from me personally knowing Francis and from seeing what you do on a day to day, you guys are very self-driven and you guys are always pushing to that next level, and you guys have that work ethic and you're grinding. It's not like you're wishing for things; you're making them happen, which is amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, and like I said, and to speak to that point too, like that's another thing I learned there: teamwork. I mean, like teamwork obviously, but like people like for real, like on your team, dog. Like 100%, 100% of the people I work with at fucking Momotaro, all of them came to my coffee shop at least once. Some of them 5, 10 times. Like, they've been here a bunch of times. You know what I mean? To Yvette, it's like. It's fucking wild, dude. Like those connections and shit, Like, and I mean, they're still there because we cultivated a culture of like love and respect. I mean, there's a lot of fucking around too. Don't get it twisted.
No,
like,
for sure. No, I know how it goes. I mean,
it wasn't under that, but like, we all genuinely
through thick and thin, you guys were there for each other.
Opening chef team was just a bunch of cool motherfuckers, bro. You know what I mean? Like we were just all like why wouldn't you want these cats to get a star? Why wouldn't you want these cats to win best restaurant of the year? You know what I mean? Like these are cool motherfuckers. You know what I mean? Forget about talent. Like that's diamond to us. Like it's like these are cool guys, man. Like, you know what I mean? They're doing fun stuff. They're doing stuff that nobody's really doing. They're not dumbing down food. Why wouldn't you want them to win? You know what I mean? Like that's how all of our minds were, because we were all in it. Like we all loved the people, the culture, the vibe that was created from day one, and we still ride it. You know what I mean? Like we still rep it. Like there's a couple of cats that one of the dudes moved away, and they went and got actually Momotar the kanji tattoo. You know what I mean? Like it's that deep in us. It's because like it was a pure kind of moment, like that could never be recreated. Even as much as I love all the people I've opened many restaurants with and all those vibes, that moment in time could never be recreated. You know what I mean? It's a beautiful, perfect moment in time that like.
And it was also, you know, the right in that time of Momotaro opening up. I mean, it was huge. You know, you guys made huge waves. Yeah, so it's like, and being a part of that for sure. It's you know, it's a one of a kind. You know, that opening team who, you know, just eats all the shit that comes with opening a restaurant. You know, the first 3 weeks of service, adjustments, readjustments, you know, all of that. That's a lot to overcome. You know, I had the pleasure of, you know, being the opening team for GT Prime, and, you know, we were doing numbers that.
Another trotter guy. I fuck with Giuseppe.
Yeah. So, you know, Giuseppe and John, and obviously, you know, tensions were super high. Everybody was like super hyper focused. And again, yeah, we were cultivating that environment. You know, we went through a lot of people in those first, you know, 6 months for sure. And then, you know, me, you know, there's like my crew too, you know, it's like me, Ramon, Lucas, Josh, you know, all of us like clicked, and we were there. Like we wore the restaurant for that time. You know, Johnny was the leader, you know, the head honcho leading everybody. And, you know, we were doing 450, and every day we came in and we're like, let's do 500 a day. Like, let's just.
That's because you believed and you trusted the people who were in charge. And like when you do, like I said, man, when you have that kind of environment where people like for real trust you, shit, sky's the limit, dog. Like how far you want to go, because they'll follow you through hell, for real. You know what I mean? Like, and not on some like exploitative shit. I mean, I'm some like straight up for the love type shit. Like, yo, like I love this motherfucker. Let's get it. You know what I mean? Like that's how I felt. I don't know how that's how anybody else felt. So I would go to like every place where I like really fuck with the chef. Like they're cool. Like, dog, I was in, bro. I was like, it wasn't even about like some hard like, oh, I'm a hard worker type shit. It wasn't nothing about that. It's like that's my man right there, and I'm not gonna let him go out like that. You know what I mean? Like every plate that I put out was with that expectation. I would never want my friend or somebody that I cared about to put something out that would make me look bad. So I'm just not gonna do that to anybody. And so I always took that kind of like, that's my mindset. You know what I mean? Like when we talk about like the grind, for me it's to be like the dude who you absolutely know you don't gotta even think about. You know what I mean? Like that was always my goal, was like to be the dude that like your station was fucking immaculate. Like boom, you're moving. You know
right.
what I mean?
Nobody
like,
could say shit to you. You know, you're set up, like, helping everybody else set up.
Like yo, we got like one of the other things too that like at Momotaro we did that like is another part of the mindset, right? Was like communal meetings. Where I was like, yo, here's your station specific needs, but like here's a set of things that like you can pull, like you can just do for everybody. And if you have time. So like it was always a thing where there was never enough tasks because people really wanted to do them. You know what I mean? It's like, yo, like I want to cut chives for everybody because I do them really well. Or I'm really good at doing wine fucking shallot. I'm gonna do them for everybody because I want every dish that gets a fucking blue wine shallot to look fucking badass, and so I'm gonna do it. And that was the mentality, dude. Seriously, it was like, yo, like you know how to do this. You do this fucking better than I do. You want to cut like 2 quarts of chives for both of us? Fuck yes, I do. It was never like there was never that weird like, oh, I gotta do my, give me more. It was never no shit like that. It was the whole crew was like, bro, like, hey, I got time, guys. Who needs me that? Who needs hands? Like that kind of shit. And that's what I'm saying. Like You know what I mean? It was like that flip for me. Though. I
It's
was like,
yeah,
wow.
no, for sure. It's like that 360 of like, okay, first you need to learn it, be good for yourself, and then you can really help others. And then once you're at that point, it's you're almost like just floating on this cloud of when you're it doesn't feel like work at that point, right? It's just you're vibing with everybody. You got everybody's back.
It goes back to wanting to see everybody win, and like it's not a competition. Bro.
Now,
the competition.
watching, like like I love that saying, and I'm all about that. Like I want to, everybody I know, I want to see them succeed and stuff. But do you think that's more of a rare case nowadays? With society, the way things are going, is like we see everybody's best life online, but like then like, do you think people are more jealous because of like that fake persona that kind of happens online?
I don't know, man. If motherfuckers watching other people's stories like that, they got bigger problems than you know what I mean. Like if you're watching somebody's success as your failure, that's a whole other set of stories. So like I don't look at anybody else's success as my failure. You know what I mean? Or I don't look at anybody else's failures as my success. I take no pleasure in that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't speak to me.
No, I love that. I love that. Yeah, no, I was just interested in seeing, your perspective on that.
Like, and
Now,
I think that to finish that though is that like I think that like people putting their whole shit out there like that, like you're inviting a lot of comments on your life, and not that like people should hide their lives, but like it's like if you're always putting that face forward, bro, like when do you ever have time to figure out who you really are? You know what I'm saying? Like, and especially in your food, if you're just making shit that looks pretty, but how's that taste? You can't none of us taste it. Oh fuck yeah, it looks dope, but I can't taste that. So like,
right, are you going to crave that, tomorrow? Are you going to crave that the day after that? And I can tell you that whatever you whipped up on the grand today, I could eat that any day, every day. And, it's going to, it's going to be amazing. And then, yeah, I agree with you. Sometimes a lot of those dishes, you go to the Michelin star restaurants, you don't end up really remembering most of them. There's going to be your 2 3 iconic dishes, right, that really hit and sit with you, especially from a chef perspective. But yeah, I agree, a lot of it goes unsaid. But then there's those staple shops where the experience, the vibes, the food, everything is amazing, everything's fresh, and you go to those more often.
absolutely. And like I said, it goes back to that whole thing where it's like the authenticity of it. You know what I mean? Like I said, dude, like you can make anything look cool or taste fucking or like look cool on the internet. That's not hard. Lighting, filters, that's the easy shit. But like, how far does that move the needle for you? You know what I'm saying? Like, as far as like, how does that translate to your motherfucking like, not just to your dollars, but like to the way people see you. You know what I'm saying? Like, do they see you as somebody who's making good food all the time, or just a motherfucker who's doing pretty food? It's a big ass difference. You know what I mean? Like all that shit. Like I think of all that stuff, and when I see people's food on the internet, I'm like, all right, cool, that looks cool. Like, I don't hate on anybody. I'm like, hey, like, shit. Hey, if you're putting it out there, I don't give a fuck what it looks like. I respect it because like it's like being a comedian, dude. Even if you go up there and bomb, I respect the shit out of it because I wouldn't do that. You know what I mean? Like, and it's like if I put whatever I put out there because like I'm okay with it. You know what I mean? I'm comfortable with it, and like if I put something up there like a picture or whatever, like I don't really care what anybody has to say about it because I don't. That's not why I do what I do. I put a picture of it like, yo, this is fucking cool. You should see this, but this is like that's the end result of like 20 years of training of palate refinement that like I can put money on it that every single bite you take this motherfucker is gonna be fire because like that's just it's the benefit of experience, right? And I think like when you get these younger cats that come out of like culinary school, wherever the fuck they come from, or and it's something against culinary school, I don't have nothing against that, but like whenever you get these cats that just they come from this position of like thinking they know something. And here's this fucking I can spot those assholes a mile away. You know what I mean? Like those guys that like they want to use like insider terms in their fucking all that bullshit. Or their Instagram name is Swanye West or whatever. Stupid shit. You know what I mean? Like dumb shit like those are the kind of cats when I see, I'm like, oh, you just want people to think you can cook. You don't really care if anybody knows if you can or can't cook. You know what I'm saying? Like you like that white coat persona. You like that idea. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't really give a fuck if people, I don't dress like a chef. I mean, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, not because I think I'm above the fray or anything, but I don't buy into that hype, dog, that we're the gatekeepers of fucking awesome. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, not really. Like, when I started cooking, people used to think, people were like, yo, what'd you go to prison for? Because the only people who have been locked up were working in kitchens. You know what I mean? It wasn't a glamorous profession. And like, right now, yeah, we're sitting on top of the world because people kind of like respect what we do. And you get people who actually want to do this for a career. And like, there's this kind of public perception of what we do as this like other level of shit. But I mean, people have been making food and eating food since the beginning of time, at least since the beginning of mankind. And with certain levels, certain techniques, with the exception of certain techniques, like, I mean, we're doing what our ancestors have done. You know what I mean? Like, it shouldn't be like this thing you do as like, oh man, this is so cool. I'm gonna do this badass shit. It should be like, yo, is this gonna feed someone? What are they gonna take away? Because bro, like, I get really deep with it, all right? Like, at that moment in time, your lives intersect, bro. For whatever reason, they're at your restaurant and you're working at night. They trusted you with their experience, bro. For better or worse, how seriously do you take that when you're thinking of the menu? How seriously do you take that when you're thinking of the dishes you're putting out? Do you think about it, or do you just want it to look pretty? Because like, I'll guarantee you one thing: a pretty picture, that's cool. Like that'll last forever. But like, the memory of that meal will also last their lifetime. If they're not fucking with it, you just ruin their anniversary. You just ruin their fifth date. You know what I mean? Like, seriously, and that's the kind of shit that I think of. So when I think of food, that's how I think of it. Dude. I don't think of it as like just like thing that I'm putting in front of somebody. I know it's gonna be fucking good. Like, that's the easy part. I think of it as how can we all connect on this, and I take that responsibility very seriously. You know what I mean? I know I fuck around a lot and I talk a lot of shit, but like, I do take that response. I mean, you ask anybody who knows me, I take that responsibility very seriously. I think that like there's no better like feeling than to know that, fuck, dude, this motherfucker came here on his birthday or whatever, on their fucking anniversary, and we fucking killed it. Like, not on some corny shit, not on some like, yeah, guys, high five, not on that lame shit, but on some like, yo, we fucking gave these people a performance of a lifetime. They're gonna remember this shit. Like, so you just became a part of their memory for the rest of their lives. Think of that responsibility. Not a lot of people do. So whenever I put anything out, I think about how they're gonna remember this dish, i.e. me. You know what I mean? And I want it to always be, fuck, if we're doing 20 courses and I have course 3, 5, and 7, you better believe 3, 5, and 7 are gonna be the best fucking courses that I was putting out every rip. And it comes through. And it's that corny shit like love, that's real, man. You know what I'm saying? That's real.
Right. No, people definitely can feel it. John Kirchner's tuning in, giving you a little muscle and a heart.
He's a rad dude, man. I fuck with him the long way, dude. He's real good people, for real.
I've been asking him to come on the pod, so hopefully seeing this will motivate him a little bit more.
He has to make you sweat, man. That's all. He wants to make you wait for it.
Right. No, he's really good at that. No, yeah. Incredible chef. Yeah, definitely. No, I love everything I've been hearing, and you definitely bring a very, very cool, awesome perspective into the food world in terms of how you look at it. And I definitely agree with a lot of the perspectives of trying to connect on that deeper level and like really making that connection, right? It's all about the memory, and I for sure know that there's people that think likewise like you, because I've went to those dinner experiences and stuff like that, and even not even at the Michelin level, but you remember certain moments, certain interactions much longer than how the food really tasted, right? You'll remember you got a whatever it may be, if you're at a steakhouse like a tomahawk, or something big like that, but you also remember that interaction that you had for that split moment, whether it's with the chef, whether it's with the menu, whether it's with the front of the house. But that's definitely a key factor to getting those people back in and really building that relationship. And
From a business standpoint, that's absolutely what you hope for. I mean, like, yeah, you're going to be cool and hot no matter what you do. You know what I mean? Like this place, you know, whatever. All right, cool. Like, what you got after that? You know what I mean? And it's like, people build restaurants for like, now I'm not, and this maybe I'm just projecting, I don't know, but I feel like a lot of people open a restaurant just because they did a pop-up and people fucking bought them out 3 weeks in a row. So like, yo, I'm doing a brick and mortar, right? Cool, hey, no hate, bro, no shade. But like, what else we got to offer them? How deep is your catalog, bro? How many times do you do the same fucking thing over and over again and expect people to keep paying you good money for it? That's disrespectful, in my opinion. You know what I mean? I think that if you're gonna put something out that you want to sell to somebody, they deserve the best of it, period. And I think that like if you have a deep catalog and you have experience, I mean, and not that it's so I'm not trying to say I'm not one of those like resume cats, you know what I mean?
Right,
like,
right. No, I get where you're going with this.
It's like what else you got for us, man? Like, how can you come to me as a consumer and just as a guest, guest, whatever, but like, how can you come to me and ask me for money for the same shit you've been making for this one thing, like, there's no change, like, how can you expect me to keep coming back to that? Like, I'll come back there once in a while when I get a taste for it, but like, it's the same shit over and over again, like, nothing's changed, it's like, all right, cool, like, they move on. You know what I mean? Like, they don't laugh.
So kind of going back on a timeline, right? So you come back, and right after you come back from Cali, you're opening up Phenom.
It's been about like almost a year. Because we built that shit out ourselves. Again, one of those things, lesson learned the hard way. Like, we did it with our own money and we built it out ourselves, right? The lesson being, if somebody wants to give you money for a restaurant, let them lose their money. Fuck it. Don't lose your own. It's a silly thing to do. But we were on some like, man, I'm not gonna be beholden to anybody. I can do whatever I want type shit, right? And there's a price you gotta pay for that, and that's going broke. But so we did that, and I came back, and the homie wanted to open a restaurant. I said, nah. I said, well, let's do a coffee shop. And he goes, why? I said, I love coffee shops. So I said, and also, I really don't want to fucking cook food like that. I was just done with cooking. People were being, and we were sitting in a coffee shop, Jumping Bean on 18th Street. We were sitting there, and I go, what about like this, a coffee shop? And he's like, well, you know what? He goes, yeah. He was all like, I go, dude, margins are, we make good money on coffee, bro. Coffee and alcohol, like, that's margins in restaurants, seriously. And more game there. Always add coffee, it's the best margin. But like, I was all right, cool, but like, if we do that, like, what about food? Because I wasn't gonna cook. You know what I mean? I'm done with that shit. Like, I'll make lattes all day, but I'm done cooking. And he's like, well, he was like, if people know that, that you're a part of it, they're probably gonna expect some food. And I said, all right, man, like, but if we do it, I'm not doing just like coffee shops. I'm not gonna do like fucking rap. And no offense to raps or anything like that. People love that shit, and they make money off it, so good for them. But I said, if you're gonna, my philosophy, if you're gonna ask somebody for $1, they better get the best for that $1. So I was like, fuck that, we're gonna do good for this motherfucker. So we were doing like plated dishes and shit. I mean, like sit down food like at a coffee shop. We got a lot of buzz for that, and I just didn't think it was that weird. I was like, I think it's weirder that you accept fucking cellophane wrap sandwiches for $9. I'm giving you a piece of artisanal bread, like with grains and all kinds of cool shit that you can't get anywhere for $8. You know what I mean? Like, why would you go eat that? And then we started getting, like, people like the food, like, I don't speak to how good or bad it was. I mean, I like this shit, My partner Danny and I,
Now, would you say that, your experiences in the culinary world helped you kind of bring those, bringing that experience in of like getting the best bread in town, getting the best, purveyors in town, and then you're really getting it at a really good value, right? Because and you have those connections.
Homie, I feel like there's no fun in getting money by yourself. You know what I mean? Like, we can all get this money. So all the homies were my first vendors. You know what I mean? Like, spilt milk, was my fucking, did all the pastries for me. Like, dude, she would come from Oak Park with that shit for me because she was my homegirl. She do me a favor, you know what I mean? Because I didn't have no patience. I didn't want to do the same shit everybody did. So I really cultivated that. Like, and that's also too, like, my partner, Danny, was a chef. You know what I mean? Like, my friend, my barista, Ari, she worked in kitchens. Like, these are people who worked in kitchens but did coffee. These weren't baristas making food. And when that's the difference in that. Is like I had chefs making coffee, not baristas making food. So like the food part was always that they learned to pick up this, that. That's why the food was always on point because you had people who knew how to fucking cook making. And the coffee, like, not that it's easy, but like when you have that attention to detail, that focus, you can transition that. Like those habits transition into a lot of different lines of work, but barista especially. You know
So where did a Hungarian coffee shop come into play? Like, how did that come into your influence?
One more time?
I said, you know, like I was reading about Phenom and they were saying that it's like a Hungarian coffee shop.
So my business partner, Danny, his wife is Hungarian. And when we were doing we were talking about the food, I was like, yo, I'll take you to a place that I kind of want to, like where my head was going with like the style of food. I went to Cafe Marie Jean, RIP. I'm wearing a Marie Jean t-shirt actually, by the way. We went there and, you know, shout out Mike. We went there and I go, this is the kind of place that I want to do food. And hold on, my thing just died. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, no, you sound fine.
Let me try the volume on this thing real quick. Bro, these things, I told you, I lost my real AirPods. I had to use those bullshit ass ones. So, but you can hear me still?
Yeah, no, I hear you perfectly.
All right, cool. I can hear you too. So, yeah, I go, let's go to Marie Jean. And we went there and it was like honest, good food that was just fucking killer. You know what I mean? It was just good food. And it was just done in a way that like seemed like revolutionary, but it was like old world cooking. You know what I mean? And I was like, I want to do this style of food. And my partner goes, well, you know what food's perfect for this? I go, what? He goes, Hungarian food. He goes, nobody's doing that. I go, do you know how to cook Hungarian food? He goes, yeah. He goes, well, Melinda, his wife, because his wife's Hungarian, so they would go to Hungary every summer, dude. Like, and he'd stay there for like fucking 3-4 months and cook with his wife and their family. So he learned how to cook that like for real grandma food. You know what I mean?
Right.
And like, he taught me that shit. Like, he taught me how to cook that food, and then then it became a matter of like, okay, cool. Here are the recipes. Let's fuck with them. Let's tweak them. Let's make them. All right, we can't like, because I'm not Hungarian, he's not Hungarian, and we don't want to disrespect the culture. So we were just taking like certain aspects and like ingredients and techniques and putting that on food. So it was always more like we use Hungarian food, like ingredients, techniques, but it's not necessarily a Hungarian spot. But then the name Phenom is a Hungarian word for delicious. So we kind of just got pegged as a Hungarian coffee shop. And it's fine if that's how it's remembered. I mean, shit, it's not a lie, you know?
Right. No, I found that very interesting because like I was looking at the food and everything and I was like,
all right. There you go. Hello?
Yeah, no, you're still with us.
All right, cool.
All
My
good.
bad. All right, better. So
No,
you're saying?
yeah, definitely. I found that interesting, that was, you guys had like, coffee with paprika or some things like that. So as I was doing,
Well, we
like
got
research.
from Hungary.
So, that was really, really cool. And it definitely, brought a lot of attention in terms, nobody's really doing Hungarian food and nobody's really known for it. But to do a really cool, playful twist on Hungarian food, that's very creative on your part.
Yeah, thank you. Like, I mean, like I said, my boy Danny, like he was my partner on that. Like he was the chef too. Like he was really good at like reining me in, because like sometimes I go over the top. You know what I mean? Like I'll be like, all right, I want to fucking. I was very ambitious with like, because it's my money, it's my time. I can do whatever the fuck I want. No one's gonna tell me no. It's just what I can afford to do. I'm like, all right, well, cool. Like I'm gonna buy all this crazy shit and I'm gonna do this crazy stuff with it. And it just turned into that kind of shit. But he would rein me in sometimes. I'd be like, yo, like, I want to buy a whole fucking Alba truffle, just melt that shit down. Like we were just like wild shit, dude. Like I was on some wild shit. And he had to like, nah, it's a little too much. I was like, all right, cool.
It's always good having a person there to
kind of the best of that shit, dude. Because I mean, like, and also Danny and I are 364 days apart. He's literally 364 days younger than me. He's July 11th, I'm July 12th. So like he's one day, 364 days younger than me.
Younger than you,
And,
yeah.
yeah. So we're like the same age. We had the same experience. And I've known him since I was like 19, man, like 20. Like we were homies. Like we worked he used to work at this place. I was the bouncer there. Right. And before I was cooking, I was like 19, 20. And I had lied about my age. This is when you could get away with that shit. And I was like, yeah, I'm 21. And I met Danny. He was working in the kitchen and we became homies. And, you know, fast forward however many years later, we opened the spot. And I trust, like when you're partner, I mean, you should always trust your partners, but like when you have that relationship with somebody, like there's no ego involved in him checking you. You know what I'm saying? Like if I come to your restaurant, I check you, you can get the fuck out of my face. No matter how much you respect me, like that's just disrespectful. You know what I mean? For me to come to your spot and just tell you I do something or whatever, or just kind of like put my dick on the table and be like, here you go, this is, you know, figure it out. Like you take offense to that when it's somebody else. When it's your homie, you kind of tend to listen. So that's another thing too. Like with Phenom, that part of my career was I learned a lot more about like creativity doesn't necessarily have to do with what's on the fucking dish. You know what I mean? It has to do with how you get there. And like, I always tell people like, drawing is a talent, just like, you know, it's a skill like cooking. Cooking and drawing is a skill. Like you can learn to draw, you can learn to cook. It's knowing what to draw and knowing what to cook. That's what's the difference between, you know, someone who's like talented and someone who's creative. Talent don't mean shit without creativity, dog. Like for real, it doesn't mean anything without creativity. Without learning how to like thought, like kind of like use that talent and kind of mold it into something. You can have all the talent in the world, it doesn't mean shit. So like I learned how to be creative, you know what I mean? And how to think, like to kind of confine myself to certain things and like and really work within like that kind of box and not just keep adding shit onto stuff, because eventually you'll get to something that'll taste good if you put enough stuff on it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
And that's where I learned really more, because I said like Danny he is my friend. That was my friend. He's my friend. And when he would check me, I trusted him as like a business partner and as a homie, you know, like to really not just be shutting me down because he was hating. He was like shutting it down because it was stupid. And there was a lot of them that were stupid, bro, for real. Like in retrospect, he did a really good job of keeping the menu tight and, you know, reining it in a lot, because there was a lot of times and I was speeding, you know what I mean? Like it was like, hey, slow down, dog.
Right.
But like
I mean, yeah, you're a chef in your habitat, being able to do, you know, as much as you can, and we're always trying to push ourselves to our limits and really find out what's gonna break us. So, you know, I could see
like
that.
that, and also too, like I learned a lot about creativity and that, like I couldn't get a hood because it was like a historic building. So I was cooking on an induction burner with a soup, like one of the little soup wells, and a fucking toaster oven, and a sous vide machine. That's literally all we had, bro. And we didn't have a vac sealer. We were like fucking sealing it, like vac sealing it with water, like to kind of get the air out type shit. And like that, those old school hood ass vac seals, like weird shit like that. Like we couldn't get we didn't have the money for that stuff. So like I learned how to like really, really think within a small box. You know what I mean? And I worked at spots where you just had unlimited access to dope ass ingredients. Like that's what I'm saying. Like I was talented, but I wasn't being creative. And I didn't really get to be creative until Phenom, really. Like, in my opinion, like that's at least the way I see it. I learned how to do a bunch of cool shit, but none of that was mine. I was just being a parrot and just doing what they told me to do and mimicking. You know what I mean? None of that was
Right.
mine.
They were selling it for you. Here you're selling it for yourself, and
this is literally you. This is literally everything that you've learned. Every dish, I always tell people this too, like whenever you make something, this is how come I don't just cook for anybody. Like every dish is like literally every experience in a kitchen on this plate. Every late night shift, every fucking bad service, every time you got bitched at, every time you killed it, every time somebody like sent a note back thanks to the kitchen, like those experiences form your palate, bro. And like when you have your palate, like, and you're putting a dish together, that's distinctly your palate, and you're sharing that with people. That's another intimate connection, right? And it's like it's personal to me. So I never really realized that or understood that until that part of it, when I was really putting myself out there, when I was like, yo, like this is me. Like, what does it say about me? Like, how is my experience tied into this? And I really learned a lot about myself and that, and my cooking and that evolution of my cooking.
No, that's awesome. And then, you know, you've been doing a lot in terms of like collaborations and stuff like that. Was
Yeah.
that out of Phenom that you were doing that? And what were, you know,
Well,
some of the really cool ones that you know you did get under your belt?
so I mean, like, we did the Complex Con one, me and the homie Pat from Secret Donut Society. Um, Pat, I met through, so another one of those places where I learned a lot about myself too. And I learned to not take myself so seriously was at Kimski, because I helped open Kimski in Bridgeport. And Pat from Secret Donut Society was friends with Juan, the chef and owner of Kimski in Bridgeport. Shout out to Juan Kim, and the whole Mars family over there. But Pat was selling donuts there. He was like, he works like in like some corporate cooking gig, and he was selling donuts at Kimski. Like, I'm just fucking around with it, right? And I had one time, and I was like, "Yo, this is fucking fire, dude." So I hit him up. I said, "Hey, dude, I have a coffee shop. Would you be interested in making donuts?" And he said, "Nah, man, I really can't. Like, I work in, I have, you know, he had a corporate gig, but like in the summers, I'm straight. You know, so if you still want to get with me in the summer, let me know." I was, all right, cool. So summer rolls around, and he hits me up, and he said, "Hey, I've been thinking about it. Like, do you want to still get down? We can do like a pop up, like I do at Kimski." I was like, "Yeah, man. You know, let's get down." So he comes through, and I think he made like 430. It wasn't like a lot of donuts, because, you know, I can't, like, he wasn't selling big quantities of donuts. He was just like 10, 20, 30 years here and there. You know what I mean? Like, he'd do 30 on a whole weekend if he was lucky. And so he brought like 30 or something donuts with them, 10 of each flavor. He does them in threes. So the 10 of each flavor. And we sold out like in 3 minutes. I was like, dog, like, so the next time he said, "I'm gonna double it up." And he doubled up 20 each on it. And we sold out like in 20 minutes. So I was like, "Bro, I think you just have to do like 50 of each donut." And so he was doing like that kind of scale. And we had fucking lines on the block for that shit, dude. So like, we did that. And I know Rod from Rare Tea forever. He's like the homie since like forever, right? And I don't even know how it came about. I was just like, you know, because Rod and I, we have like a weekly phone call for whatever reason. Like, it's like the weirdest friendship. Like, we're like the most unlikely friends, but I consider Rod Marcus one of my closest friends, and we talk regularly. And so on our weekly call, we're talking. I don't even know how the fuck we started talking about it. And I was like, dude, like, man, you know what we should do? We should just do like a baller ass donut. Oh, because I had brought him some Secret Donut Society donuts. And he goes, "Oh, this donut's amazing." And I go, "Dude, we should do like some kind of baller ass donut like one time at Phenom, like a $25 donut, right?" And he goes, "Why not 50? Why not 100? And I was like, "Yeah, fuck it, why not?" So we did like a $50 donut, and we sold out of those like that, right? And I was like, "Oh shit." So then I reached out to Complex, or no, they reached out to me, to one of the homies. And they're like, "Would you be interested in doing something?" And I was like, "Yeah, whatever, you know, for sure." And we were just gonna do like some coffee shit. And I was like, "Nah, I'm not doing that." So I got with the homie Pat, and I got with Rod from Rare Tea, and we did the $500 donut. And like, that was born, you know what I mean? Dude, that shit was gangster. Like, there was all kinds of rare shit on it. But it's like, those are the kind of things, man, that like, all that came about from like Kimski. And then it fed into like a lot of other stuff. You know what I mean? Like that's where I know Tony B from. Grew up to Tony B Steak Chips, you know, like through Kimski. And he's like another one of my closest friends. You know what I mean? Like, this is my homies, you know what I mean? Like, these are my people, dude. Like, I kicked with him like daily. And
That was a fun watch to see you guys
like grub
both
tub,
in the bathtub. I mean,
that's the best. Dude,
that's
that was like,
that's an experience of itself right there.
when we're able to like do that kind of stuff like a little bit easier, a little bit more like with a little bit more ease and less tension. Yeah, we'll get you in the tub and we'll cook it. Like, cause it used to be like Tony would just fuck around in the tub. And then I don't know, for whatever reason, I got it in my head that I wanted to be in the tub. So I like bugged him. I was like, "Dude, I want to be in the tub. Like, I don't know what we're gonna do." But so we decided to turn it like a cooking segment, and then we were cooking in there, and then we got into like tasting food and just eating food and then getting high. And
Right, were you guys eating like Taco Bell or what? You guys
yeah,
were
with
eating?
caviar and shit.
Yeah, with the Rare Tea you smoked.
Yeah, he hooked it up.
Yeah, that was awesome, man.
Yeah, dude, honestly, real talk. Taco Bell's guacamole and Rare Tea the smoked trout roll. literally amazing, dude. At Complex Con, Brian Fisher from Entente, like that RIP Entente. He's a homie too. I know him through Juan from Kimski, and then we opened up Dorian's together in Wicker Park, and he had to stand next to mine at Complex Con, and Harold's Chicken was right next to us. So I had a bunch of caviar, right? Like, I mean, Rod gave us like the baller shit, dude, like the real expensive shit. Like, he's like, there's only one other place you can get this right now, and it's at the French Laundry. He goes, it's you and Thomas Keller have this right now. And I was like, fuck yeah, dude. So, I mean, we were putting that on donuts. We were putting like this balsamic that had been through like, I mean, it was like some weird shit where like the whole family died during World War II, and then they found this balsamic in some basement, and Rod has like the world's allotment of it. And like, it's literally
it's like a syrup, probably.
It's yeah. So like in Modena, where they invented balsamic, the tradition is the aristocratic families would like start a barrel when the child was born. So essentially, you could trace a whole lineage through their vinegar.
Balsamic collection.
Yeah, it's insane, dude. Like that's how balsamic started. And XYZ, blah blah. World War II, Mussolini killed a lot of those people, and white families off the planet, like bloodlines, And Rod somehow came across this one like balsamic that survived like World War II. It was crazy, and like, I mean, that shit's like $1,000. I mean, it's literally priceless. He goes, there's literally no price for this. He goes, he just makes up a number sometimes. I think it's like how do you put a price on something that once you've had the last sip of it, that is the last that will ever
right
exist.
That's done. Like it's not like you can put it on your order list and it's gonna be
what I mean
tomorrow.
And it's also, this is the other thing that I tell people. I said, dude, like, it's literally tasting history. You will never taste anything like that ever again because of the air and the water, the barometric pressure that's just existed in that part of the world at that time. Like, that can never be replicated. I mean, this is pre-industrial revolution shit, dude. Like, that stuff's been there forever. And it's like stuff that like you'll never be able to replicate that terroir ever again because like those conditions don't exist anywhere. And again, it's just that kind of shit. So we started putting that on donuts and whatever, right? And then, so Harold's Chicken's next to us, and we have all this caviar, and so we decided to like get some chicken from them, and we threw a bunch of fucking caviar on it, and we were like, "Fuck, this is fire, dude!" So we were eating caviar and chicken, and then Brian ended up putting that on his menu, like fried chicken skins with caviar at Entente, and like it was like one of his most popular things. Like, people love it. But it's like those are the kind of things, dude, that like when it's just flowing and people are just like always vibing, that's the kind of creativity that just comes about. Just like naturally. Like it's so organic. There's no like it's not like this thing where we sit down and, all right, let's be creative today. Let's really think about what we're gonna. There was none of that shit.
Right, just naturally happening.
Boom, throwing ideas like, yo, what'll be fire? Boom, fucking trout roe and guacamole from Taco Bell. It's shit like that, dude. Where it's like, you don't know. I mean, I know that trout roll is awesome. I know that the guacamole from Taco Bell is awesome. How awesome will they be together? Let's find out. Boom, they're fucking amazing. Boom, like it's everybody learns something. But it's like those kind of things that like when you have this creative freedom around your homies, when you're around people that you fuck with like that, you can really let yourself go and really try stupid, weird shit and not be embarrassed or like be gross. It becomes a thing that like we're all learning from each other and it's fun, And I've been very fortunate to have those kind of people around me, like always.
Right, and then you set off that type of vibe that you want everybody to succeed around you. So you're definitely drawing in the right crowd, that are also, likewise like you, that want to see you succeed and push you and make sure that everything's good on your part as well.
It's a bubble that we're all in, I mean, all my homies are fucking flourishing right now, dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody that I fuck with, like, and their energy that we have the same kind of energy, the same kind of drive, like the same kind of vibes, you know what I mean? Like, they're all good dudes, man. Like, they're all people that, like, again, people that everybody wants to see win. You know what I mean? Like, these are cats that just like, they're the embodiment of just like good people, bro. And I'm very fortunate to have my whole circle like that. You know what I mean? Everybody in my circle's like that. 100% of the people that I fuck with are doing shit like that's like driving the culture, bro. You know what I mean? Like Tony B with the steak chips shit. You know what I mean? Like that's next level, dude. Like that's gonna be the future. That's like fuck beef jerky. It's gonna be that. You know what I mean? Like, this is my homie. You know what I mean? My other boy, he's making fucking killer ass music, and he's doing album covers for like Incubus and all kinds of crazy shit like that. Like, these are people that like I roll with in these circles that are like, they're flourishing because their energy is clean. You know what I mean? Dude, like, they genuinely want everybody else to succeed. They don't see nobody else's failure. Success is their failures, and their failures is their success. Like, they genuinely put out good shit, bro, because their energy is good, because they're attracting good shit. And I look at that and I'm like, I'm good. You know what I mean? Like, you're, you know what I mean? Like, your friends are a direct reflection of your values, bro. The people who you keep in your circle, and all the people who are in my circle are creative, like fucking collaborative, just rad motherfuckers. You know what I mean? Like, everyone that's in my, that I hang out with, that I do shit with, that I collab with. Anybody that I do a collaboration with, you can put in the bank as a pretty solid person. Like, I don't just fuck with anybody. Like, I say no to a lot of shit. You know, I say yes to a lot of shit too. Don't get that too. I'm everywhere and I'm nowhere at the same time. But I also say no to a lot of shit because, like, I care about the way my homies are going to be perceived by the things that I do. You know what I mean? Like, I care about how people are going to view my people. Like, if I do something that just isn't on brand for me and it ends up going really bad, I make my people look bad. And I don't want to do that because I want all of us to keep winning. You know, that's the kind of shit that when I think about keeping our energy clean, that's what I'm saying. It's like, bro, like, we have a really good thing going. Like, this is a good vibe. Like, it's a good ecosystem. Like, how do we keep that going? And if by keeping shit that just doesn't fit out. And like,
No, I love that. I love that.
You know, like that. I mean, like, for anybody who's trying to open like a business or restaurant, anything like that, like, I think that's probably the best advice, is just to like surround yourself with cats that, not driven, that's not the right word, but like that vibe the same way you do. You know what I mean? Like, whatever that looks like, man. Like, you can't be some cool cat and hang out with cutthroats. You know what I mean? Like, that'll never vibe. You know what I mean? Like, find the people who match your energy. Don't try to like fit into somebody else's.
Right, you guys almost become a symbiotic, relationship where
it has to be.
You guys thrive off each other.
It has to be. I mean, like, that's how everybody succeeds, bro. That's how you draw on all these opportunities from one another. Like, there was this meme that I saw. It's like, where it's like, talk about your friends in circles where their names aren't mentioned. You know what I mean? Like gas somebody up that, in your circle, like, to strangers. Like, that's real shit, man. Like, when you do that, people see that. Like, yo, my homie, he's fucking killing it. People see that. They're like, yo, this dude's really gassed up about his people. Like, I don't do that for my friends, you know what I mean? Like, damn, let me check this out, because it fucks people up, dog. Like, nobody's used to genuine positivity like that. You know what I mean? Like, it's a lot of cynics out there, bro. The internet and all the information and like instant like gratification with stuff like that has created a bunch of cynical people, bro. And like, and just for better or worse, you know what I mean? I'd be a hypocrite. We're on the internet right now. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
You know what I'm saying?
Like, it's a double sided sword, right? We right now are using it as a tool to promote, us, our stories and stuff like that. We're not trying to, I think a lot of people are trying to sell their kind of like life as being.
That's it.
Right. Just trying to, like, and then that's not what, that's not what I use Instagram for. That's not, I don't look for. There's a lot of people that just crawl the internet and want to leave shitty comments to people and stuff like that. And
I leave that alone. You know what I mean? Like,
that's on them, right? But
yeah, I mean, you're not responsible for anybody's energy except yourself, bro. And if you're allowing that in, then that's on you. You know what I mean? Like, I leave them where they're at. You know what I mean? But also too, like, I've been very fortunate. People like really don't talk shit about me. Like, at least not that I hear. I mean, I'm sure people talk shit about me, but like, it doesn't get back to me, which I'm okay with. I'm fine with that. Like, but like, I don't put that out there. Like, I mean, aside from fighting with a couple people on the internet back in the day, like, you'd be hard pressed to find me saying something negative about somebody on the internet.
Yeah,
like,
I once got in an argument with some ranch, some guy that ran. I don't even know, guy or girl or whatever, raiding ranch. And he came in a Royster and he ate, our fried green tomatoes with ranch, which was like
fire,
homemade ranch, whipped, like done right, and gave it like 4 stars or something. And it wasn't like any big account or anything like that. But like, you know, I saw that and I was like, I was hurt, bro. It was like I put that out, you know, and I was like,
Yeah,
yo,
that's true, bro.
and I like ranch too. So it's like I have an opinion. Like I don't agree with your opinion. And it was just like paragraphs on paragraphs, and at the end, I just deleted everything I wrote because it was not worth it, right? At a point,
Nah,
you're just
bro.
arguing with somebody that's
This,
just there to argue, not to prove anybody right or prove anybody wrong. They're just
I'll go one step further than like there is no real right or wrong in an opinion. You know what I mean? Like if a motherfucker asks for your opinion, there is no right or wrong. Like it's not a factual statement. I mean, it's factual about you. It's something that you firmly believe, but that doesn't necessarily make it a fact.
right.
So like that's how I take shit. You know what I mean? Like I said, man, I have the benefit of a lot of fucking life experience, and I you know what I mean? Like I don't take shit as seriously like that. Like I've been on the other side of a lot of fucked up situations, like real life fucked up, not like work life fucked up. You know what I mean? Like all kinds of crazy shit. And I understand that like life is kind of like there's way more important shit in life than to argue with some motherfucker about like, you know, whatever it is. You know what I mean? Like anything. Like I get cats come in here and they're like, you know, they act up, bro. And like I mean, I got into this one dude and he was talking shit, man. Like I wasn't fucking with his vibe. And I was like, look, man, like I don't know what you want from me, dog. You're you know, he was just acting up. And I go, and he started talking that crazy shit. And I said, look, man, I'm gonna stop you right there, dog, because you're asking for a lot of trouble that you really don't want. And he's like, look at me, right? I said, I don't know what about me says that I'm a fucking square and you can talk to me like that. And I don't know what about this fucking menu says you bought me, but you bought a fucking shawarma, dog. You didn't buy me. And you ain't gonna talk to me any fucking way you want to. Here's your fucking shawarma, here's your money, get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean? Because like, and he looked at me and he's like, and I was like, what, you're not used to people talking to you that way? And he's like, no. I said, but I bet you're used to talking to motherfuckers on the other side of that counter that way, right? And he said, he looked at me, I go, yeah, that's what I thought. Get the fuck out of here. Like, that's what I'm saying. I don't tolerate that shit because like, you gotta let these fools know right away, dude, that hospitality is very different than lying to a motherfucker and telling them they're always right. And the sense of entitlement that guests have with us, like that shit's dead, dude. Like that day is done. Like where they can just come into a restaurant and act up. You know what I mean? And I always let people know right off the bat that like I don't tolerate that bullshit in here, dude. Like we cultivate a nice environment here, a fun environment, a chill environment. My people are cool, we're having a good time. I'll be damned if I'm gonna let you come up off the street and act the fucking fool for $12. You know what I mean? Like, get the fuck out of here. Like, I gladly refund that money, dog. Like, I just got rid of, I'll never see you again. It only cost me it don't really only cost me $1.75 in ingredients. Like, and I'm never gonna have to see you again or worry about you ruining my vibe. Yeah, cool, you put a 1-star, yep. But if that meant anything to me, I would have killed myself a long time ago, jumped off a fucking roof or something. Cause like, people are always gonna troll you. And I just don't put no stock in none of that shit. Because I know what I am, I know who I am, I know my worth, and I know what I want people to think. My people to know what my fucking worth is and people to think of me. And that's when you walk into any one of my spots, you're gonna be greeted with this, you're gonna be met with the same energy you greet me with. You wanna come in here hostile? Let's do that. You know what I mean? You wanna come in here and rile me up? Let's go. But I promise you, dude, you do not wanna do that. You know what I mean? And like, I let them know off the bat. Like, I mean, we're in Lincoln Park, dude, it gets kind of douchey over here. You know what I mean? Like, you get these cats that, you know, they get that liquid courage in them. I don't know if you've seen the video on my Instagram where I choked that dude out at Phenom, but like, I don't fucking play that shit, man. You know what I mean? Like, so you're not gonna come in this is my house, dude. I spend more time here than I do in my apartment, my crib. I'll be damned if you're gonna come in here and make my guests feel unsafe, me feel unsafe. I'm just gonna knock your ass out and drag you out the place, and that's it. Do what you want. And like, people knew better than to fuck around. You know what I mean? And they know better here. And like, I do that so my people here don't have to do that. So they don't have to tolerate that bullshit because they don't get paid enough. Nobody gets paid enough to deal with that. Like, nobody makes enough money to deal with fucking asshole guests. There's no amount. That's how come people like, there's this whole front of house, back house shit. I was like, hey, you want to go out there and deal with those motherfuckers? And they're like, no. I then shut the fuck up. They earn every penny that's it. If a motherfucker left you $50, you've earned it from the one guy before that left you $2. You know what I mean? Like, in my opinion, like I don't see that. Like, there was that
right,
whole
yeah.
kind of shit, bro. To me, this is way easier money. I'd much rather get yelled at or whatever by the chef than go out there and be demeaned and belittled and fucking degraded for a $5 tip. Nah, I'm cool. You know what I mean? And it's like, so I let my people know that, like, bro, if a motherfucker comes in here wilding out,
And I think that's a very well thought for, you know, chefs and cooks to hear that, because, you know, the front of the house is there for a reason, and they're doing a lot. They put a
Bro,
lot of
they're the
weight on
last
their
line.
shoulder.
They're the last line of defense between us and punching the fucking guest in the face. You know what I mean? I always thought that I'm a more zen kind of cat and like I have good customer service skills, but like working the counter here, I realized that I don't, and I fuck that. Whole new respect for front of the house. You know what I mean? Like, I don't bite my tongue, but I could see why someone would have to. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't bite my tongue because I don't really give a shit, and like, and I don't say that in like some tough guy way. It's just more like, again, I know my worth. And I'll be damned if I'm gonna let you tell me what the fuck, how I'm gonna live my life or anything like that. Like, I work too hard for that. I put in too many hours. I too much sweat and blood into this person to let that person come in here and fuck it up. And in any way, you know, because that's how I keep my people safe. You know what I mean? That's how I keep them feeling good about coming to work, is that they know that there's no, when they walk in this door, they know they don't have to worry about being demeaned, degraded, or talked down to for fucking $5, man. Like, and that's another big thing that we have to like really like nurture and kind of cultivate in the industry, is like that kind of shit, man. Like, really tearing down that curtain between the front and the back of the house and being like, yo, like, dude, you really don't want to do that gig. Like, I know it seems like that's easy, but I mean, I'm doing it here, and I wouldn't. You know what I mean? I wouldn't. I couldn't tolerate that. Like, I couldn't smile while somebody's
different timing, right? It's you know, in the kitchen, it's all about go, 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 go.
Yeah.
And in the front of the house, it's all about creating this, you know, atmosphere of like nothing's hard, but things are getting done, right? So it's
exactly.
It's a weird mentality to throw like a cook mentality into that world, or, you know, that world,
Vice
you know,
versa,
front of the
yeah.
house, right? It would throw them off, and you
Truly.
kind of you get accustomed to that, right? It's a set of skills, right?
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, like, that's a skill that I realize I it may not be as sharp as my other skills, you know what I mean? But also too, like,
Well, like Gary Vee says, you know, focus on your strengths, right?
for sure, exactly. You know what I'm saying? It's like I'm cool in like certain like little spurts, you know what I mean? Like, I'm fun for guests with limited interactions, but that's all I got in me for them. You know what I mean? Like, those little 1 or 2 minute interactions, like, I'll fucking kill it every time. But if you have to sit here and have a conversation for more than 3 or 4 minutes, I'm gonna be like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if I'll say to somebody after that. I could be charming for a minute and a half while I'm bagging up your food, but past that is kind of a wrap. And that's again one of those things where I realized that like servers have to have that personality for their full shift. Fuck that. I couldn't. You know what I mean? Like, I know that about myself, because like, I just couldn't. I couldn't. Hi. Oh, absolutely. That's great. Oh, thank you. Like, that whole thing. You know what I mean? Like, that whole server thing. Like,
Right.
let me check on that for you. I'll be right back. You know what I mean? Like, that whole thing. Like, I don't have that in me. I thought I did, and I realized I fucking do not. You know what I mean? Like, I took great pride in my customer service skills, and then I had to be in customer service here. It's not my thing. I'm not good at it.
Well, it's nice to see, you know, you keep throwing yourself in positions where you still have things to learn and perfect
For sure.
and grow on,
Always.
which is amazing. And, you know, as chefs, I feel like we're always hungry for more, and we always dabble in and keep on growing that, you know, pool of knowledge where we can kind of pull things out of. But as we kind of wrapping up, you know, let me know how did you know, events come about? You know,
cool.
A little bit about COVID, if COVID, you know, had any major effects on you, or what were some things that, you know, helped you stay positive through, you know, the real COVID times. I think we're kind of out of those times right now. Everything's looking better. Everything's kind of opening up, and people are getting vaccinated, and we're moving.
Yeah, that whole shit. Yeah, for sure. Well, this restaurant wouldn't exist if it wasn't for COVID. So this came about completely because of COVID. It was when I was at Fino, and my partner here,
I met him while I was, he was one of my vendors, and we struck up a conversation, and I don't even know how we started talking about the connection between Lebanese and Mexican food. Oh, he had just watched that Taco Chronicles or some shit, and I don't really watch shows like that too much. I kind of I see food all day. I don't want to go home and watch food either. You know what I mean? So he was talking to me about it, and I was like, oh, cool. So I checked it out, and I was like, oh yeah, they talk about tacos árabes, how that's the birth. I mean, I already knew that about al pastor tacos. So there's this really cool connection between the two cultures, right? And so he's like, when I was getting ready to close Phenom because COVID fucked us up, and it was a whole lot of shit, but COVID definitely played a little bit of a factor in it, but a big factor in it actually, but whatever. There were a couple big factors, and that was one of them. And so he starts like, yo, I found this spot. I got a good deal on it, blah, 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 XYZ. He goes, you should come check it out. So we came and checked it out. And he was like, what do you think about doing like a Lebanese and Mexican spot? I was like, shit, let's go. I don't care. You know what I mean? I was like, I don't have any money because popped, but I'll do whatever. You know what I mean? So we figured it out, you know what I mean? And we figured out how to get everybody equal, equitable, and everybody get equal, put money in or whatever that shit. And it worked out nicely. And, Mitchell, he was like, yo, I have this menu written. I looked at it and I was like, all right, cool. And I just did the Mexican stuff. We moved some shit around, you know what I mean? I played around with the food and stuff like that. And played around with presentation and shit like that. And I mean, and then the COVID part of it, so we got the spot for nothing, bro. I pay less. We pay less here than I pay for my apartment. You know what I'm saying? In Lincoln Park, dude, one of the highest fucking real estate markets in the city. We pay nothing for a restaurant, commercial property. And so like I said, it's all because of the times that we're in. You know what I mean? So there's two ways of looking at COVID, right? As this thing that shut everything down and this thing that opened up opportunities for a lot of people. I mean, I know so many people who shot their shot during COVID. You know what I mean? Dude, one of the old cooks / baristas at Phenom, Eve used to work at Phenom, and she does dinner at the Grotto. And now it's got her and her friend. When COVID hit, she was like, yo, I was like, are you good? She goes, yeah, I have some money put up, that kind of shit. Because I mean, I let them. The thing about having a small crew is that you have to tell people to their face that you're gonna close the business. You can't afford to pay them anymore. You know what I mean? That's the shitty part about not being a big restaurant group is you got to do that face to face. And we were talking, and she's like, I think I'm just gonna do dinner at the Grotto as a weekly thing. And then she won best COVID pop-up thing. You know what I mean? It's a whole thing. But that's the kind of shit that I'm talking about. It's there's two types of people in the world. The people who see it everything closed down, or the types of people who say, yo, okay, but what can we open up? You know what I mean? And that's all my homies. Everybody in my circle, that's what they did. Tony B started steak chips during the pandemic. You know what I mean? Juan and them started, and Kimsky started doing pizza, fried chicken, ice cream. They started doing giving away free meals to the community. It's things that everybody, all the homies, that all the energy that I had around me flourished. They're killing it. You know what I mean? And it's COVID was a blessing in that respect for us. You know what I mean? Where we all had to really put on our thinking caps, yo, fuck, we have no money. We're all fucked. You know what I mean? Because whatever, a couple of us couldn't get unemployment and shit like that. So we really had to put our thinking caps on and really had to figure out the next move. And this was part of that. This was the next move. And I don't never look at anything as a curse, you know what I'm saying? Oh man, fuck, everything's so fucked up. Or, yeah, I mean everything is fucked up, but what do you see when you look at shit fucked up? Do you see an opportunity? I mean, that's just who you are as a person. If that's not who you are as a person, then you can't fake that either. You know what I'm saying? All my people, I always tell people people like to wolves or sharks or all these lone kind of they pack animal, a wolf or I always say that me and my homies, we're a pack of killer whales, like orcas and shit, dude. We're all communal hunt. We all hunt together. We all feed off each other's energy. We speak our own language. We all eat together. And then if one can't hunt, they all hunt for him. And that's what we do for one another. All of my crew is like that, bro. And I mean, that's just something you can't fake. And when COVID hit, dude, we all were like, boom, boom, sharing resources, figuring out the next moves, like gassing each other up, putting each other on. And I mean, like, the results speak for themselves. You know what I mean? Like, they're all killing it. And I'm happy. Like, when we talk about COVID, that's my takeaway from it. You know what I mean? Like, that we never saw it as, I mean, it was obviously, we saw it as like a fucked up thing, and like, it was a very real thing.
Right,
Is
it was
very
a
real
city. It's a shitty situation because it's not like you did
Lemons to
anything to
lemonade,
get in
chef.
there, right?
Lemons
Right.
to lemonade, chef. You know what I mean? Like, and we made lemon meringue pie. You know what I mean? And we made, you know what I'm saying? We did whatever you could do with lemons, we did it. Like, we had a lot of tricks.
And
in our bag.
I love that hustle, you know, and I'm really, you know, I'm attracted to that type of hustle and mentality where you make something out of nothing with the resources and the knowledge that you've, you know,
That's
you
cooking.
spent time, you know, something you can't buy is time, right? So one thing you've already done is you've spent the time to learn what you know, and now you need to figure out a way to utilize that. So kind of moving on in the timeline. So you guys opened the vets right during COVID
In October.
in October. And you know, how was that? Was that like pretty much everything to go,
It's
right?
literally-
I mean, it's winter in Chicago and nothing's open.
It's exactly what you think it is. It is an ass whipping. I mean, we were like, bro, I mean, this is, again, nothing was opening at that time. Shit was closing every day. We opened a new restaurant. Like, people thought we were fucking crazy. And like, for real, I can't even tell how many people were telling me not to do it. And like, we opened and it was like, boom, we sold out of food the first like 3 days. I said, oh shit, you know what I mean? Like, cool. Like, it was just go from the beginning. I mean, and obviously there were lean months there for a little bit. Obviously, like, it was winter, it's COVID. I mean,
Right.
fuck, winter in Chicago for restaurants sucks. Winter and COVID in Chicago was even, I mean, it was a death knell for a lot of people. And so, I mean, we barely hung on during that time. You know what I mean? Like, right now, it's getting warmer. People are starting to reopen, and like, we're getting busier and busier and busier and busier, you know? And a lot of that just has to do with the fact that like Mitchell was really good about like budgeting and doing like stuff that like I'm not good at. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I can do food costing and like all the basic shit, but like, I don't know how to move numbers and all that. I don't, like, what do I know about that? You know what I mean? So like, that again goes back to people that you trust. You know what I mean? Like, I trust him to do the right thing, and he does the right thing. You know what I mean? Like, I don't look over his shoulder, none of that shit like that. We have a good relationship, and that comes from two people putting the trust in one another to open a place during the fucking pandemic, right? And like, and the energy that we put into it has been reciprocated, bro. Like, people fuck with us. Like, they come. I mean, we got from like week one. We have people who've been coming in since day one, dude. Like 3 times a week sometimes. I'm like, yo, the food's good, but I don't know if it's that good where I would come in 3 times a week. But I love the support. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if I could eat anything like that 3 times a week. You know what I mean? If I'm being honest with you. But like, it's like, yeah, man, I'm just happy to be a part of it, bro. If I'm being honest with you, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, it's like watching your karma come back around. You know what I mean? Like, when you do for everybody and it comes back and people are doing for you, it's a nice feeling. And I'm really happy to be a part of it. And it's like where I'm at right now with this, you know what I mean? Like, it feels good, you know what I mean? Like, maybe I'm having the opposite of everybody else's experiences, but like, I look at it that way, you know what I mean? Like, we took something in a time when nobody was doing anything, and, you know, we're doing well with it. People respect it. People like it. You know what I mean? Like,
No, I love that. And, you know, I've been following you guys from day one, and, you know,
thank you.
You guys even make, you really make the spot your home, and you really make, you know, like the objects like that dinosaur,
The
you know,
nacho?
yeah, I mean, it's
He's right there.
so
He's
just
back
like
there.
incorporating all these really cool characteristics that you have into your business, and really, you know, letting the people know like this is what this is, like this is what it's about. Come here, hang out, have good food, have good vibes, you know, connect.
I got that from Kimsky.
I
Like,
love
learned
that,
at
you know.
Kimski. I really did. Like Kimski has all the tchotchkes everywhere, and we used to put our shit up there. And I remember I made this like this sampler. Like I used to like cross stitch, and I did the sampler for Juan, and it said, "I hope you choke," and it's just hanging there at Kimski. And like it's shit like that. You know what I mean? Like it's fun shit like that we were like when people walk in.
It's like a really
They know
big
the-
inside joke, right?
It's all of it, but it's everywhere, and it's everyone can see it. And what it does is it's very like disarming. Like you come in there like expecting something, like what the fuck? Like you're in someone's, it feels like you're in someone's personal space. So it automatically makes you think a certain way and act a certain way, and it becomes a really fun environment. And that's kind of where I learned how to have fun doing this job. I was very serious to that point. And like I learned how to have fun with it and like do fun stuff and still turn out serious food. You know what I mean? I used to think serious meant serious. You know what I mean? Like I was not
Right. Silent kitchen,
that bro.
towels
Ask anyone who knows me.
folded.
Ask anyone who knows me. Anyone. I love a silent kitchen. I love no music. Like quiet. Like it. I love it. Like just the knife in the cutting board. Fuck, dude. That's like heaven to me. And like, but I had that in my mind. These motherfuckers are playing hip hop and they're doing all kinds of shit, right? And it really brought me out of my shell a lot. I mean, like this, where I'm at now, wouldn't be possible without that. So like, when you ask for mentors, not Juan as a mentor, because like, you know, we're homies at that. I think of the restaurant as a whole as a mentor. Like that spot and that time and period in time as one of my mentors. And like, I have all the benefit of that experience.
Well, you've really
now.
been through, you know, the big dogs, you know.
Yeah, and it's like, and it's fun too, because like all my homies now, like they're all running shit. Taqueria Chingon. I went to high school with that dude. Marcos, he's my homie. I've known him since high school. Like all the you know, fucking Jeannie Kwan and Tim over at Kasama, like those are the homies. You know what I mean? It's like all the homies are fucking killing it right now. Like, fuck, dude, I got nothing but love. You know what I mean? Like it makes me so happy. Like all my people are flourishing. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I get some type of way about that. Like I
No,
really do.
for sure.
Like,
It really, you know, I can even feel that here, you know, just like that really good, warm, you know, energy coming, you know, from
I love
everything
these
you're
people.
saying, you know.
I love these people. Like anybody I mention, I fucking genuinely like. I love. Like, shit, ask them. In certain instances, literally the shirt off my back. You know what I mean? Like, that's how I go in for my people, and it's nice because they all go in for me like that. And fuck, man, like that's another thing too. You know, like opening Phenom, I tell everybody, you know, when you start going after your dreams, you really open yourself up to find out what kind of friends you really have, bro. Like when you go after your dream, when you start chasing your shit, like you're like, I'm gonna go after it. You find out what kind of people you got in your corner, dog. Like for real, how they show up for you, if they show up for you. And I said it a million times, I say it again, and I say it anytime I bring it up, is 100% of the people I asked to help me out fucking said yes and came through big. You know what I mean? All of them. Like 100% of them, bro. Like, it's so moving, you know what I mean? Like, so whenever my people do something, I go all in for them because I want them to go all in for the next motherfucker. And that's how we keep it going. And it's just one of those, I genuinely love these people. You know what I mean? It's not like, I'm not just talking shit. Like these are my people. You know what I mean? Like, shit, sink or swim, womb to the tomb. You know what I mean? Like, those are my people.
No, that's very, very well said. And you know, very, very, very well said.
Thanks.
You
You
know,
know?
you got me thinking
People,
about
it's funny because
that.
people look at me and they expect a certain level of like a certain kind of interaction. And then like, I'm this guy, you know what I mean? This is who I am, you know what I mean? Like, but like they see me fucking around the internet or whatever, and they expect this like kind of other character. And then when I talk to them like this, it really kind of fucked them up.
Right. You went in deep.
Always, bro. I take every opportunity to drop knowledge on people, bro. Like that's all we can do. Like as an elder, because I'm technically your elder, you know, I'm way older than you. It's literally my obligation.
For sure.
It's literally my obligation to put this down for you. You know what I mean? And not to, like to put it in you, but just to put, so you can never say I wasn't told. I'm a firm believer in that. I believe in taking away somebody's ability to say, well, I didn't know any better. Bullshit. Yeah, you did.
Well,
You know what I mean? Like,
you heard it here first to all our viewers tuning in.
yeah, man. Don't always remove somebody's ability to say they didn't know any better. And like, as someone who's older, it's my job to do that. Be like, yo, that's not acceptable. You know what I mean? Like, that's bullshit. Why perpetuate that fucking culture? You know what I mean? Why perpetuate that shit? We got enough of that, man. Those motherfuckers are a dime a dozen. And for too long, they ran shit. But people like you, people like all the younger homies that are coming up, they're seeing a different side of the game, and they're learning from different people, like different kinds of mentors. And that's what they're gonna put out into the world. And like, it's my responsibility to make sure that anybody I come in contact with understands their responsibility that they come in contact with. Like, when it's your employees are your kids, bro. You send them out to the world with your name on their back. What kind of people you want to send out there? You know what I mean? Your cooks they represent you. Motherfucker comes to my kitchen from one of my friends' kids. I know that they didn't teach you to do that there. Like, that's my first instinct, right? And it's like, when you say that, you're like, yo, well, what are the people that I send out saying? Like, what do they say about me subliminally, subconsciously, with their habits and with the way they are? And my people who know me, people who I fuck with in the restaurant industry, can expect a certain standard, not just work ethic wise, but like attitude wise, from anybody I send their way. 100% of them. I've never sent somebody and it didn't work out. I've never recommended somebody for a job and it didn't work out. Never, not once. Because I don't recommend people for jobs like that. Like, if I put you up, it's because I know that you're gonna do the right thing by me, by the restaurant, and by the people who you worked with, by putting out the proper, like, letting people know that this is what I learned there, and it'd be a good thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's your responsibility. Now, as a chef, when you have your crew, whatever they take to the next job, that's a direct reflection of you. Nobody else.
No, and even working, in the restaurant, when you go from restaurant to restaurant, you carry the last restaurant's name on your back. Like,
yeah, man.
Oh, this dude's from Royster. Oh, this dude's from GT. Oh, this dude's from Momo. Oh, this guy's a goat. Oh, this guy's,
Yeah.
It is what it, like that is a thing. It's almost like football teams or sport teams.
For sure.
But you get known, and obviously, the habits and the tendencies.
For sure.
There's a level of standard that I love about the city of Chicago here. We really do have really high standards.
For sure, man.
And that's been, that's allowing us to thrive as a food city, I think, because we do make really good cooks, right? All these institutions that we talk about, Boca, Linea, One Off, they really mentor cooks and they really set out the future generation of cooks.
I think too, like, to kind of build on that, I think the thing about Chicago restaurant scene that's so unique, in my opinion, and I've seen it because I've been in other cities and I've worked in other cities, is the level of collaboration in the city. That's not a thing in a lot of other cities. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of competition. People view each other as competition. And Chicago has this thing where, like, not like friendly competition, but like nobody views anybody else as their competitor. So collaboration in this city is actually like a lot easier than it would be in another city, because people here view each other as part of a community, part of the restaurant community, not part of like the industry. You know what I mean? It's a different vibe here. Like, the way that people phrase it, the restaurant community, the restaurant, like the way that somebody mentions the bigger umbrella, if they call it the restaurant industry, they think a certain way. If they call it the restaurant community, they think another way. And Chicago likes to think of itself as a restaurant community, as a food city. And you can only get that way if everybody's working together. And I think Chicago does a good job of that, in my opinion. I think there's also a lot of like celebration and mediocrity, but that happens in every city. You know what I mean? You got cats that just everybody fucks with for like, no, I mean, they got good publicity. So like their mediocrity gets celebrated. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
No names come to mind in particular. And if somebody takes offense to that or whatever, then that's more on them than it is on me. But like, I think there's a lot of celebration and mediocrity, but like that happens in a lot of cities. But the thing that's unique to Chicago is that a lot of the people here are like, if fucking John Mannion walks in this motherfucker, he's getting G'd out. And not just because like he's John Mannion, but because like, yo, like, I respect what he does. You know what I mean? Like, you get the other cities where they hook people up or whatever, that kind of shit, where they you know, they show you some love, right? That's a given in the industry. But I think the way that Chicago does it is just a little bit different, where it's like, yo, you're so, fuck, let's do something together. Come on, man, let's collaborate. Let's figure something out. Chicago is the most unique city in that way, in that like, people will come into your restaurant to eat and then ask you to collaborate. That doesn't happen anywhere else. That's a strictly Chicago thing. It's a strictly, yo, let's all get this together. I like what you're doing. I hope you like if you like what I'm doing, let's do it together in some way. I mean, pop-ups and collabs are a thing here for a reason, because people respect each other. We don't see each other as like some competitor, you know what I mean? Like, that's
Right,
why
and the
motherfuckers love opening
community's,
restaurants.
you know, open to that as well. And
Because it's a community, it's not an industry here. That's a big difference. When you see it as an industry, you see it as competition, as like being better, as like, you know, fuck those people, because like it's a business, you know what I mean? Like, which it is, you know what I mean? I'm not gonna say it's not, but like when you view it as a community of people, like-minded people who want to do good food and good hospitality, that's a different vibe. And that's a lot of what Chicago is.
no, I love that. Kind of starting to wrap the pod up
Yeah.
as we're approaching. I don't want to use any, you know, 2 hours in. I kind of need to wrap this up, but
yeah, no, we're going long. My bad, bro. I'll talk forever. My bad.
no, you're all good. I mean, I'm really enjoying getting to know all these, you know, different things about you, and I'm super excited. You know, I'm gonna be stopping by definitely.
Just let me know when, because I take days off every once in a while.
For sure, I'll hit you up on the gram.
For sure,
Give
man.
you a couple days in advance, but yeah, no, super excited to stop by. I'm gonna be
It's my
supporting
pleasure.
here from showing lots of love on the gram as well. But kind of wrapping up, so like, what are you guys doing? Like, what's the menu like? What are the work hours like? You know, where can we find you for all our viewers tuning in?
So like the menu is obviously Lebanese and Mexican. You know what I mean? We focus a little bit more towards the Lebanese stuff because Mexican's kind of done to death. You know what I mean? But like, not a lot of people doing Lebanese food, particularly Lebanese food. And this isn't like a Lebanese, like authentic Lebanese spot, but like we leans more that way, and that's more my partner Mitchell. He handles a lot of that shit. You know what I mean? Like he respects the fact that I've been doing this a lot longer. So like we work on a lot of shit together, and it's like, yo, what do you think of this? How you know? And again, to his credit, it's easy to work with a cat like that because he takes it in. He doesn't take it as criticism. He doesn't take it as like this isn't good. He just takes it in as how can it be better? You know, and like I always work with cats like that. You know what I mean? And like, so the menu's collaborative in that way. And like anything that is super melty, super like fucking jam-packed kind of shit, like that's mine. You know what I mean? Like I do the stoner shit where I'm like, fuck that, put all that shit in there. And you know, and like here we're open 7 days a week, Monday through Friday, it's 11 to 8. And then Saturday and Sunday we do brunch, breakfast. And that's from 8 to like 3 or whatever, but then we go to the regular menu. And the breakfast shit it's actually really funny that kicked off because we were just like, dude, we weren't gonna do that. Like I was vehemently opposed to doing that. I was like, I don't want to do that shit. It's a waste of everyone's time. Because there's not enough people for that. You know what I mean? Like it's not like having people come in early for that shit. Like it was just I'm big enough to admit that I was wrong. Like it's a fucking thing apparently. That here, like people go ape shit for the breakfast around here. Like, and I don't say that in like a humble flex. I genuinely thought that it was gonna be dead in the water after 2 weeks. I thought we were gonna be able to pull it because like it's a waste of time and money. And nope, people fucking buy breakfast and coffee here. It's to the point where it's actually kind of aggravating. You're like, fuck, dude, like, can I ever stop making fucking eggs on the flat? You know what I mean? Like, it's always something with the breakfast shit. And people like come in during the week, can we get breakfast? And then like, loudly no, but quietly yes. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't know if you've seen that like hash brown sandwich that we do, right? Like it's like the 2 waffle hash browns.
No, but it sounds like I'm coming over for brunch.
It's gangster. It's really good. And like shit like that, you know what I mean? Like we do that. And like, I mean, I'm everywhere too. You know what I mean? Like where can people find me? Shit. I'm in the streets. You'll catch me running around everywhere. I'm here. I mean, most days, and I was doing school for a little bit, but I'm done with that now, and so I'm here again a lot. Like, yeah, I took a little break in like I needed a break, bro. You know what I mean? Like, I went from closing one restaurant to opening one within a week.
For
You know what
sure.
I mean? I had no time to really mourn that loss. So I kind of took and I didn't realize it just hit me as hard as it was, if I'm being honest with you. So I went back to school and I started for fashion design. And oddly enough, right? Like I always love fashion, so I would go back to fashion school. And I realized I don't want to make clothes. I want to do like bags and purses. So I hooked up with I asked this I hooked up with some people who like put me in touch with this woman who makes bags, and she let me go like apprentice on there. So I've been learning how to do like leather bags. So that's gonna be the next evolution of shit that I do. I'm gonna start making leather bags and like leather goods, like luggage and shit like that. Like that's the next. So keep an eye out for that. I haven't really told too many people that, but like I feel like
No, I'm super excited.
if I keep it to myself any longer, I won't do it because now nobody knows about it. So now I put it out there. So now
Are backpacks in the works by any
dude,
chance?
I'm gonna do some
Leather
gangster ass shit. Dude.
backpacks?
Yeah, well, so like everything that I do is gonna be like through like 80s and 90s, like West Side Chicago dope boy type era. So it's gonna be like hidden compartments, like smell-proof bags, like for your weed and shit, like you know what I mean, like smell-proof pockets, like it's gonna be shit like that, dude. Like that I think is fun. I think, but like done like really well, and like with leather and shit like that, like natural materials, because I fucking love leather. And yeah, I mean, like that's coming in the next 3 to 6 months. You know what I mean? Like that's down the pipe. I gotta focus on this place for a little bit longer. But that's where I'm at.
No,
And
that's
that's what,
awesome. You know, doing a
yeah,
lot, man. You're doing a lot, and it's super exciting and super motivational and inspiring that you keep on pushing and threading in new waters and thriving and when taking opportunities, staying open and
always.
that's what I think every cook, every chef, everybody in this industry in our community need to hear, and more
I
of.
mean, if you think you've learned everything, then you ain't really learned shit. You know what I mean? Like for real.
But
Like
there, you also have to learn that, right? To
yeah,
learn
that's what I'm
that you
saying.
can never
Like,
learn everything, right? Looking back when I was like 15 and 16 thinking I knew everything, you know,
we all did, bro.
it's all about, as we grow older, we also get more experienced, more humbled and see
Yeah,
life in its true colors more or less,
for sure,
right?
man.
And what's really important.
For sure. Absolutely. I believe that 100%. I mean, like it, and if I'm being honest, like it feels nice to hear like younger people like embrace that kind of shit and like understand it and really run with it. And like for me, like doing this and talking to you about this kind of stuff, like it's nice because I mean, obviously you have ambitions, you want to do your own thing. And like I said, I feel like it's on me to kind of not school you, but kind of like open your eyes to maybe a perspective that you maybe didn't think of, you know what I mean? When it comes to restaurant ownership and what that means, you know what I mean? Like what it means to actually not own, but just like own it, like it's yours. And if you have the wrong kind of morals and ethics and you were never schooled the right way, yeah, you're going to own it, but it's not going to mean shit. And like when somebody puts you on the right path or tries to tell you which path to kind of like to think about, like that's kind of almost a guarantee that the next generation is going to be better than the one before. And that's all I can hope for. You know what I mean? As somebody who's happens to be like a steward of the culinary part, my part of the culinary world, I think it's only like right to let you know what I mean, that's your responsibility. You know what I mean? Like you're the next generation, dog. And the people working under you are the next generation. Like play chess, not checkers. You know what I mean? Think 3 moves down. And that's like why I want to do this. So, you're a young chef, and I think that like if you want to do your own thing, it's only right that we talk about this and I let you hear like what somebody who's been on that side and on this side knows about it. Without that stupid shit, like talking about the surface level shit that everybody talks about. Like, oh man, it's all about the fresh ingredients. Yeah, like that's a given, dude.
Right. No, and I get that. We can connect on a. We don't need to talk about the essentials, right? We're talking
Higher
about
plane, baby.
what is not written on the menu, what is not, talked about, that the things that are just the norm, right? We're talking
sure.
about the norm and the standard of the future generation, the future chefs. What are we going to be doing, because yeah, there's always going to be, I think for sure Michelin or awards
Always.
or
That's not going
systems like
anywhere.
that, right? But people are also, I think we're going to see I hope we see less fast food or more in the sense of, getting back to those mom and pop shops where you go there for the person because
These
they're
mega
cooking good
corporations,
food.
bro, that make food, they don't give a fuck about you. Like they don't care what they put in your body, you know what I mean? But you should. And when you start caring, like you said, when you start caring about those things, like those places die down, they die out. And when you ask better for yourself and for the world around you, the bad shit falls away. And all that shit's gonna be dead one day, you know what I mean? But like right now, I tolerate it.
Right. There's a time and a place for everything, right? But
right now, like I said, you're in a good spot, man. You're about to inherit a really nice like generation of cooks. Don't fuck it up.
I'll try not to. And to all everybody viewing this pod, take these lessons, take these words. Chef here really, he lived through it all, and through most of through most of it, especially as a cook, right? And taking the wins as they come and getting yourself better day by day. But no, like I really, really, really enjoyed this pod. What a special day. We're going 2 hours plus.
I'm gonna go get high as fuck right now too, dog. So
I hope you do. We have one last question before I let you go. Do you have any stories or any knowledge of when it originated or what's the true definition behind it? But we've been asking this a lot on the pod. I'm a little blitzed as well, so completely asked that question wrong. But why 86? Do you have any story about that? Do you have, when it first came into your life? And do you, like, what's your story with why 86? Like, where did it come from? How did you hear about it?
I mean, like, shit, I don't even know.
Because we all know what it's used for, right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't even know. Like, when the first time I heard that.
Yeah. Well, do you have any funny stories or, first time you heard it?
About someone being 86? Or just anything being 86?
Just anything being 86.
But I remember, like, the first time I ever had 86 something, I remember I was like, fuck. I was so freaked out. Because, like, how do you tell somebody I'm not prepared? You know what I mean? Like, and you try to think of every single way to tell somebody that you fucked up without telling them you fucked up, which never works. And I don't even remember where the fuck I was. But I remember the feelings of like being 86, and like the first time I'm ever 86, I was just scared. I think it was at the Berghoff, actually. No, it wasn't the Berghoff. It was early on. It's been a lot of spots.
Crazy though, right? So that's our like little end of the pod thing, that the why 86 phenomenon, because we all use it, but where it came from and what's the meaning of it, right? Why 8 and 6, right?
Yeah. I honestly, like, somebody told me what it meant a long time ago, and I was like, because I asked and they told me, I was like, all right, whatever. And I kind of it was irrelevant to my life at that time, and I just didn't really give a fuck. But yeah, I don't even know, like it's so innocuous, right? The 8 and the 6 together, like what that means. But I mean, I'm sure it means something, and somebody's gonna, well, actually us, and they're gonna be, well, actually it means this. So I'll let the internet answer that question. I don't know.
I hope they do. I
don't know what it means, but yeah, I'm into it.
All right, man. Well, I want to say, big thanks for coming on the pod, sharing this time with us, dropping the knowledge, dropping the heat. Super excited, you know, for everything you got in store for you. Like
Thanks,
I said, everybody in the city of Chicago or anybody visiting, go ahead and stop by Yvette's and say
350
hi.
West Amistich.
There you go, man. Well, I'm super excited to let you go and
Hell
enjoy
yeah.
the rest of your
I'm gonna go get high as fuck.
420, man.
All right, I'm gonna get high as fuck.
All right,
Peace.
guys.
Thank you,
As
everyone.
always, make sure to like, follow, and subscribe for all our pods and all our stuff.
I'm doing that. Like, follow, subscribe.